Come on in. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Let me know where you guys are checking in from. Pop up real quick. Sunday night. Hope everybody is doing good. So come on in, hit that like button. Let's get this roll call out the way, so we can go ahead and get started. I'm not gonna hold you guys late. I know it is late. I wanted to actually come on earlier. I've been under the weather for the past, what's today, Sunday? So it's like Friday. Wanted to come on earlier, but I was too busy in and out of sleep. So I'm woke now, figured I'd come on late. Whoever I catch, and then everybody else can watch the replay. So come on in, hit that like button. Let me know where you guys are checking in from. Let's see, we got Jarrell in the building. Mark Brown is in the building. Who else we got? Pippi. Shout out to Miss Pippi. Shout out to the moderators. Shout out to Miss Pippi. We got Texas in the building. Kelvin says, love the freaking intro. It's funny you said that because I was just listening to the intro right before I hit the button for me to appear on screen. And I'm like, man, this beat sound like something that I would have been knocking about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I had a Chevy with 412s, TVs, and I was setting off alarms. So this is around 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. Yeah, I would come down the block setting off alarms. You see what I'm saying? That beat, just, I'm like, man, this is something that I would have popped in the tape deck or the CD deck back in the day and came down the block setting off alarms. So appreciate it. Yeah, I like the intro. I like it. I like it a lot. That's why I chose it. But appreciate the compliment. Sacramento in the building. We got PA in the building. Let me move this banner out the way. Y'all know where to find me at www.boxstrokecourses.com. Much love, brother. GTG. Hopefully you post this video so I can catch it tomorrow. Yeah, I'll post it. GTG, gotta go. Sorry I've been MIA. My dad passed away on Monday. Oh, Pippi, I'm sorry to hear that. I knew something. I was just telling Kurt the other day, like, man, I ain't seen Pippi or Nick. But I'm sorry. My condolences on behalf of me and all the subscribers, the MGMs, the Mentor Gang members. My deepest condolences for your loss. My deepest condolences. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. I really, truly am. I'm sorry to hear that. Man, I don't even know what to say after that. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. If there's anything, we can do, just let me know. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I really am. Man, it's kind of hard for me to go on with the show now after hearing that news. Man. Yeah. If it's anything that you need, just let me know. I'm sorry to hear that. Damn, I hate to hear when people's parents pass. As I get older, I have to, I got to think about that, and I have to prepare myself uh, for that day as well. And yeah, man, I'm sorry to hear that. All right, so I'm gonna skip out on the roll call. After that news, I'm gonna just get straight to it. So come on in. Let me know where you guys are checking in from. I see the roll call. Hope everybody's doing good. I tried something out Thursday. I want to do it again in one word. Everybody that's in the chat, excuse me, in one word, let me know how you guys are feeling tonight. Describe in one word how you guys are feeling, so I could just get a general idea of the mood that's in here tonight. One word. Well, I know the mood now is probably sad, but in one word, you know what I'm saying? Um, describe how you feeling tonight. Come on in, guys. Yeah, condolences to Pippi. Condolences to Pippi on the loss of her father. Sorry to hear that. Uh yeah. Yeah, let me know how y'all feeling tonight. I see blessed, determined, survived, tired. Let me know how y'all feeling tonight. Come on in, hit that like button. Hit that like button. Late Sunday night pop up. Late Sunday night pop up. Your boy is sick, but I still decided to pop on dog mode. Shout out to Big Zo. I see you. Hey, Big Zo. Your time coming up for testimonials, man. Be ready. When I reach out to you, man, be ready. Be ready. Be ready. You owe me that much. When I reach out to you, be ready. Sleepy, different, dog mode, okay, survive. All right, so come on in. Let me know how y'all feeling. All right, quick pop up. I'm not gonna hold y'all. I'm not feeling really well, but I wanted to pop on real quick because I'm up now. I've been sleeping on and off all day, so I'm wide awoke now. Lately, I've been uncovering just, a lot of people's how they're operating their box truck business, and I think I mentioned it the other day. It's kind of disturbing. um, and I want to kind of help get people on the right track to success when it comes to sustaining and operating their box truck business. Um, gross robbing from the sustainability, I should say. Since I've really been tapping into people and their actual businesses, subscribers and whatnot, I see this trend. It's just still, I'm not happy with what I see. You know, I did a couple videos where I talked about business person versus box truck, or business person versus box trucker. A lot of people still box truckers. I can't, a lot of people just aren't business people, and ultimately, you have to be a business person. All right, you're never going to profit. Your business is not going to sustain over time unless you start running your business the right way. All right, so what I'm seeing is a lot of people are robbing from the sustainability of their business to uh, cover their living expenses. And I want to talk about that tonight. All right. Um, I say it all the time. The business does not care about you personally. What you got going on in your life personally, business cares nothing about. All right. As the leader of the business, it's up to you to run the business efficiently and effectively in order to increase revenue for that business. So ultimately, you can reward yourself with higher pay, with a pay raise, right? If the business is not affording you to pay yourself X amount of dollars or pay yourself at all, but yet you're paying yourself and you're paying your household expenses from the business, you're robbing the sustainability of the business. And eventually over time, the business will perish. It's going to perish. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what to do if you're in a situation where you got to weigh, your cost of living versus this box truck. But here's the thing, and I'm going to keep it 1,000 with you. If you are running this business and this is your source of income, you've left a job or whatever the case is, and this is your main source of income, this box truck business has to sustain itself, and ultimately it has to pay you enough so that you can sustain, right, your living. You got to look at your living. You got to look at your living. So we're going to use me as an example. Currently, I'm going to bring you into my world, my personal world, which is very, very rare. I don't do this, but I want you guys to understand what it takes to effectively operate a business, all right? Be able to pay yourself, how to determine what you should be paying yourself so that you know how to, take your business to the next level and increase your business. Listen, if you here's the thing. A lot of people I talk to, I'm trying to word this so people can, it just don't seem like people is getting this. When we talk about gross numbers, gross and net for your business, that's one thing. All right. Before you do that, you need to take a look at your personal expenses and see how much it costs you to live. All right. How much does it cost you to live? And maybe that'll give you some type of insight, you know what I'm saying, on what it's going to uh uh take you to, or maybe give you the motivation to get you to get up and work harder to push that business to the next level. All right, so I'm just going to get straight to it. To give you guys an example, let me switch over. I'm gonna pull this out the way. I'm gonna have to use my whiteboard for right now. Excuse me. So let me share my screen. uh let's go here. I want to go here. All right, so my whiteboard is going to be a blackboard tonight because it's nighttime, so it's switched over to night mode. All right, so let's do this. I got myself on the screen. What I want to do is so I can have more space on the screen. Let's go transparent. All right, let's see if we can get this thing to work tonight. So I may go off camera for a minute because the blackboard or the whiteboard is on a separate screen. All right, so let's go here. All right, so let's start here. Let's start green. All right, these are my expenses. And this is personal. This is personal expenses for old Mark, the mentor. So I'm gonna give you an idea of what it costs, what I have to make on a month-to-month basis in order to sustain my personal life. So when I look at my personal life expenses, how much it costs for me to live, it gives me an idea of how much money I gotta make every single month. And this is something that as a business owner, you have to do as well. All right, so let's start with one of your biggest expenses. One of your biggest expenses. Let me switch this. We're gonna go red. So one of my biggest expenses is my mortgage. All right, and that's roughly $2,000 a month. It's a little more than $2,000, but we're gonna round up. It's between 2,000 and 2,100. We're gonna round it down. It's closer to 2,000, so we're gonna round down. All right. So with that mortgage, because I live in a condo, because the area I live in, so on and so forth. Because it's a condo, I got association fees. All right. That's roughly $500 a month on top of that, right? What else do I have? All right, and this is what you should be doing too. All right, what else do I have? I got my electric. All right, electric is high right now because it's the summertime, so I got the AC running. Obviously, it goes down in the wintertime. This month I paid $176. We're gonna put 175. All right, next gas. Gas bill is low because it's the summertime. I ain't got no heat running. So the gas bill is low. This month it was $56. We're gonna round that to $60. Obviously, the gas bill goes up in the winter. The electric goes down. All right. What else? Electric, gas, groceries. All right. I spend. Hold on. Excuse me. Excuse my handwriting. I spend roughly $150 a week on groceries. All right. So $600 a month. Today I went to Whole Foods. I bought a bottle of black seed oil. Well, not the oil, but the pills. That was $30. I bought a little container of watermelon. That was $5. I bought, the soup bar, the tall thing of soup at the soup bar. That was $10. I spent 50 something. I bought some crackers. I spent 50 something dollars at Whole Foods just today on those few items, right? Then I feel I'm goofy. Let me hit the goofy button for myself.
Yo, goof ass.
I'm gonna hit it again.
Goofy as hell.
Can y'all hear me? Why I can't hit the goofy button?
You tweaking.
Oh, there it go.
Yo, goof ass.
All right. So I'm goofy because I was at the store and I forgot to get the orange juice, right? So I get all the way back to the crib and I realized I didn't get the orange juice. So I had to Uber. You know, you can go on Uber Eats and they do grocery runs now. So I spent $20 on two things of orange juice because you pay a higher fee when you get your groceries off of like Uber or Instacart or Amazon Fresh or whatever, and then you got to pay that delivery fee. I got Uber One. I get the discount, but for some reason they didn't give me my 5% off. Whatever. I spent $20 extra on two half-gallon things of orange juice. So I spent $70 on about 7 items today. So on average, because I eat healthy, I eat organic, I spend about $150 a week on groceries, so $600 a month. Let me get myself out the way. Let me move myself out the way temporarily. All right, so groceries. What else? Vehicles. Another big expense. All right, so up until the other day, because I actually just paid one of my vehicles off Wednesday or Thursday. I paid my truck off Thursday. I just paid it off. It wasn't ready to be paid off yet, but I just paid it off and got it on out the way. All right, so roughly I pay, let me see. Hold on one second. So $3,200 a month on car notes and insurance. So $3,200 a month on car notes, vehicle notes, and insurance. All right. And then what else I got? I got my trainer. That's $75 a session. I use my trainer twice a week. So that's $150 a week. That's another $600 a month. All right. Now let's add all this up. Let's add all this up. I'm just giving you an idea on if Mark was getting into the box truck business right now at the current lifestyle, at what it costs me to live currently, if I was getting into the box truck business right now, let's see how much I would have to pay myself. Let me move myself over here. I got a calculator right here. All right, so mortgage, 22,000, I mean. And this is not everything. This is not everything. Hold on one second. I'm gonna go. This is like the main basic stuff. 175 plus 60 plus 600 plus 3,200 plus 600. All right, so right now with just these things, I'm at 7135. I still ain't accounted for my gym memberships. I got 2 gym memberships that I'm paying for, 2 different gyms. I got, you know, Ubering. I Uber around. All right. I live downtown area, so I don't have to drive a lot of places. I can take Ubers. I don't take regular Ubers. I take either Uber Comforts or Uber Black. So if I'm on a date, I'm in a Black. All right. So I got to account for that. I got to account for clothes. Obviously, clothes in the summertime. I don't spend as much money on clothes in the summertime as I do in the wintertime. But, you know, a trip to the store for me for one pair of shoes could be 12, 1,300. You know what I'm saying? What else? So on any given shopping trip, I could spend $2,000 or more. What else? Uh, just other miscellaneous investments, things of that nature. So I looked at my statements for the last 3 months. For the last 3 months, I spend on average $10,500 a month. All right. All right. So last month I spent $10,434. That's how much I spent on all these basic living things. I spent about $7,100 on the basic living things and about another $3,000 on miscellaneous stuff. So let's put for me, so let's switch this color. 10,500. That's what I'm spending. So I'm spending on average $10,500 to live. So if I was coming into the box truck business right now, this is the minimum I would have to pay myself. All right. I'm a final mile guy. Right. I'm a final mile guy. All right. Now, when I came in, this is not how I came in, but we talking about if I came in at my current living expenses. I'm a final mile guy, right? So let's say the average final mile contract is paying. Let's go back to red. Final mile. Okay. All right. The average final mile contract, we're gonna talk on big and bulky. It's paying about $20,000 a month. $20,000 a month, right? So if I was coming into the box truck space right now, it's costing me about $10,000 for the last 3 months. I spent somewhere between $10,000 and $11,000. About $7,500 of that is basic living, food, clothing, shelter. All right. Then I average about $3,000 a month on miscellaneous stuff. I would have to pay myself 10 and a half racks. So the average final amount is paying about $20,000 a month. All right, so let's break this down. So $20,000 a month, right? If I was to come into the space now, $20,000 a month. That's let's see. Okay, let's say I'm paying. Let's say my truck, and we're gonna be modest here. We're gonna be modest. Average person that's paying a truck note, if they got a good truck, fair at a fair rate, is paying somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000. I'm gonna be real modest. I'm gonna say you got $1,000 truck note. All right. But hold on, before we do that, I would have to pay myself $10,000. So I already got myself on the books for 10,000, right? Boom. So that only leaves 10,000 left. All right. So I got $1,000 truck note a month. All right. Let's say I'm paying my helper, and I'm being modest here with the numbers. We running a 6-day-a-week contract. I'm paying my helper $150 a day, which isn't really reasonable. I'm not going to be able to get away with that, but I'm trying to prove a point to you. I'm gonna pay him $150. I'm real modest. 6-day-a-week contract, 4 weeks out the year. That's 24 days. That's $3,600 a month. So my labor, and that's with me being on the truck. $3,600 a month. All right. What else we gotta pay? Our insurance. Let's add that at another. And we being modest. We're gonna average that out though. We're gonna average that out. Insurance. We're gonna average that at $1,500 a month. All right, we running final mile, local. Let's be real models. It's part of my handwriting. So let's say fuel. Let's say on average $75 a day in times 24 days. That's $1,800. That's 1,800. Come on. Oops. It's 1,800. All right, so that's 1,800. So now we just got the truck, my labor, the helper's labor, the insurance, the truck fee, and the fuel. Now let's do some math. And this is if I was coming into the box truck space right now at my current living. And I'm trying to get to you. I hope y'all following what I'm trying to get at here. Using myself as an example. The average final mile, big and bulky route pays about, and this is if you working hard. You running 6 days a week. You bringing in about 20,000 a month. All right, about 5,000 a week. All right, so I'm automatically deducting 10 racks for me, right? Because I'm coming in and this is what it's costing me to live right now. So we taking 10 racks off the top. I got to pay myself 10 racks. So that only leaves 10. So now I'm paying my helper. I'm paying him $150 a day, which really isn't logical in my market, but we being modest so I can really show you what these numbers look like. So I'm paying my helper $150 a day, 6 days a week, 4 weeks out the month. That's going to average about $3,600 going to go to my helper. I'm on the truck, at least $6,400. I got another $1,000 I got to deduct for my truck payment. And now remember, that's very modest. The average person is paying more than that, but I'm being modest. So $1,000, $3,600 for the labor, another $1,500 we need to subtract for insurance, and then fuel is about another $1,800 a month. Now, that's just all the basic stuff. I'm not accounting for truck parking and just other miscellaneous stuff, potential breakdowns, PMs, claims. All right, so with me paying myself 10 racks a month, my helper 36, the insurance, the fuel, and the truck fee, that leaves $2,100. And that's with me being on the truck, paying a $1,000 truck note. So here's what we can eliminate. Here's what we can eliminate straight out the door. If I was renting a truck at, let's say, $750 a week, the minimum what I would see a truck rental. But let's be modest. We being modest. Let's say $500. You can find a truck rental for $500 a week. And that's taxes included. We know that's not logical, but let's be modest to prove the point. That's $2,000 a month. We only got $2,100 left in cash flow to play with. So that's out the door. So that leaves $100, right? So boom. Now we got $100 left and we still got to pay for the miles. Let's say you're paying 10 cents a mile. So that 100 is going to get ate up. After that, you're running in the negative. So a person who's renting a box truck, if I were to come into the space right now with my current cost of living, I definitely wouldn't be able to rent a box truck. If my truck note is anything remotely north of $1,000, I'm failing. $2,100 a month cash flow is about $500 a week. That's okay, but I still haven't accounted for a lot of miscellaneous things. Truck parking, so on and so forth. GPS tracking, PMs, claims, miscellaneous things. lunch. You on the truck every day with a worker, you're going to have to stop and eat at some point. You're going to have to stop and get water. If you're a good guy like me, you're covering the cost of the lunch. So let's say you spend $20 a day on lunch. You could pack your lunch. If you were smart, you would pack your lunch, but let's say you eat out. Basically, what I'm saying is that $2,100 is gone. So what would Mark have to do if Mark was coming into the space right now? If let's say I was working in corporate America and corporate America got me to the point where I can live the way I live at paying between $10,000 and $11,000. I spend $10,000 to $11,000 a month to live. It's a lot of money. All right. But my living expenses are high. So I come from, let's say, corporate America. I quit corporate America during the pandemic. I want to start my own box truck business. I would have to make $10,000 to $11,000 a month to be able to pay myself to continue to live the way that I live. But if the work that I want to do in the box truck space only allots me $20,000 a month, then some decisions have got to be made. Like, we got to be honest. We got to be honest. So you have to look at your personal, okay? Because a lot of people is robbing from the sustainability of their business. They taking the money that's coming in. As soon as that money comes in, they dish it right out on their personal. They're not paying themselves. A lot of people ain't paying themselves. One, and I'm going to keep it 1,000 with you because I don't know what different people's lifestyle, a lot of people not paying $10,000 a month to live. You see what I'm saying? But with what their business is bringing in, once they cover all their business expenses, the money that's left, that's probably just enough to cover their living expenses. So now they're robbing from the sustainability of the business because they're not leaving anything to cash flow because they have to take whatever's left to maintain their lifestyle. So what do you do in this situation? If I was coming in to the box truck business in this situation, most I know I'm going to be able to make is around 20,000, but my living expenses is 10, and I do all this prior to getting in because I'm a smart guy. I'm going to do all this math before I get in. Something got to go. Can I really afford to run this business as my sole source of income? And if I do take on this business as my sole source of income, that means I'm going to have to sacrifice somewhere. The business is going to do what it can do. I can only do so many stops in a day. I can only work so much a day. And me working to my fullest potential at max is going to average me about 20 grand a month gross. So that sacrifice got to be made on the personal side because I'm going to have to decrease what I would expect to pay. So I'm going to have to decrease my living expenses because I won't be able to afford to pay myself $10,000 a month coming into the box truck space. And this is where a lot of people are dropping the ball at and why they're robbing from the sustainability of their business and they can't seem to figure it out. Well, I'm letting you know this is why. Sacrifice. You got to sacrifice from your personal. When you coming into a business, you're going to be broke. Ain't no such thing as coming into a business and just, you're going to be broke. Why? Because initially when you're coming in, you're investing everything into the business. You're trying to get it off the ground. You got to go through the learning curve. There's no way in holy hell that if I was to start a box truck business today with my current living, I would fail. My cost of living is too high. So I would have to decrease my cost of living. That's where the sacrifice would have to come. In my situation, that's where the sacrifice would have to come. You're going to have to sacrifice some way, shape, form, or fashion. Now, let's talk realistically. When I came into the business, I think I could take myself off of this now. When I came into the business, well, maybe not. Hold on. I got to figure some things out here. Give me 1 second here. Let me do that, do that. Now I'm gonna move myself over. There we go. Boom. When I came into the business in 2010, I was still at home. I was still at home. And I've said this before. I didn't have any investors. All right. But I say my OG was an investor. Even though she didn't give me any money, the reason why I call her an investor because I was living under her roof and she allowed me to live under her roof rent free, scot free. The only bill I had to pay was my cell phone bill. I didn't have to pay no utilities, nothing. All right. So when I first started my box truck business in 2010, well, I didn't even, I started on Craigslist. Y'all know the story. Y'all know parts of the story. I really haven't sat and walked y'all through the whole story from A to Z. I probably do my own testimonial. I probably at end of season 1, it'll be me. I gotta figure out who I want to interview me though. But I started in 2010, and her biggest investment to me was allowing me to live under her roof. That was a sacrifice. Because I lived under her roof and I didn't have any bills, it allowed me to go out, understand, learn the business, take the money that was coming in and reinvest majority of that money. When I say majority, I'm talking about majority, damn near almost 100% minus expenses back into the business. I wasn't doing anything else. I was working on the truck 7 days a week. When I came out the pickup truck, I started renting that first Penske truck. Then I went to a second, then to a third. I'm working 7 days a week. I'm not spending no money. I'm investing all that back into the business. So because I didn't have any living expenses, this allowed me to, as I learned the business and as more business was coming in, I was getting the hang of it. It allowed me to aggressively scale because I didn't have to pull back X amount of dollars to take care of my personal living. That is how I was able to scale. And then once I started converting those rental trucks into my own trucks, same situation. When I said, man, these trucks are paying themselves off and recouping that money back, when I was buying those trucks outright, that money was recouping. I'm still living at the crib. The first place I ever moved into was this place that I'm sitting in right now. I paid $250,000 for this place 10 years ago. I built my business and I sacrificed and I lived in my mother's home. And trust and believe, I was dating the girl I was dating. She gave me an ultimatum to move out. She said, man, you got enough money. I don't know why you don't move out on your own. If you don't move out, I'm gonna end up breaking up. I can't be with no person that live at home with their mama. You got the money. It'd be different if you didn't have the money. You got the money. But I knew what my purpose was. I knew what my plans and what my goals were. And I knew in order for me to reach my goals, I had to sacrifice. And the biggest sacrifice that I took was still staying at the crib. Yeah, I did some ignorant stuff. Bought my first Beamer, still living at the crib. You know what I'm saying? Bought a Beamer before I bought the crib. But even when I did that wrong. My first Beamer, I bought it all wrong. I didn't buy it under the business. I bought it under my personal. My accountant blew his top when I told him I had bought it. Because he said, why didn't you buy it under the business? You know what I'm saying? Still living at the crib. But my goal was when I move, I'm moving. And I'm never going to move again unless I get married or something. I'm going to move into something that I want to move in, that I'm comfortable with. That I can, and the place that I'm comfortable with is going to be a little money. You talking about 10 years ago. But I had to work myself up to get to that point to be able to afford that. And the sacrifice came from me living at the crib. There's no way on God's green earth, if I was out and about, right, and I was living on my own at that time, and I'm not telling people to move back home. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you're going to have to find you're going to have to sacrifice somewhere. Getting back to this, what I'm saying, if I was out on my own at that time, there is no way on God's green earth I would have been able to do or accomplish what I was able to do, especially with the aggressive scaling that I was able to do. Because you figure even if I was living modest back in 2014, I would have at least still been paying about $1,200-$1,300 for rent, let's say. And that's modest. I live in Chicago. All right. Car note, let's say modest car note, $500 a month. We talking about a basic, let's say I had a basic Charger, an SXT, no leather, no nothing. So I'm paying, let's say if I was paying $500 a month for a car, $1,200 a month for rent, and let's just say all my expenses equaled out to about average person, I say their expenses at that time period equal out to about, let's say, $3,000. That's $3,000 that I would have had to pay myself, or $4,000, let's say I would have to pay myself, that could have been reinvested back into the business. Remember, my first truck was $7,900. So if I was living out on my own, half of that $7,900 would have been what it would have took for me to live out on my own. But because I lived in the crib, 100% of that revenue that was coming in outside of expenses, I was able to reinvest that back because I didn't have any personal expenses. So the point of this live stream is to further help people understand, the reason why, all right, not knowing your numbers is one thing, all right? That's one thing. This thing that I'm talking about today is being honest. Because when you sit down and you start doing the numbers for the business, you also have to do them on a personal level. Can I really afford to run this business and live? Hit that like button. I've been talking. I ain't been paying attention to the chat. I'm sick as a dog. I know it's late. We got 75 people in here. I see 53 likes. Hit that like button, y'all. I'm sick. I ain't feeling good. At least hit the like button. Damn. I came on. I know I came on late pop up, but goddamn, I came on. It's late and I'm sick, man. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Thank you. So not knowing your numbers is one thing. But when you dig down into your numbers, you also have to dig down what it costs you. All right. If you're running a box truck, it's only so much you can do. Not everybody is going to come into the space the way I came into the space years ago. A lot of people that are getting into the space now, they already have lives. They have children. Another thing, I don't have no children. Didn't have no children then. I forgot to put that. No children. So not only did I live at the crib, no children. So really when I say it was just me, it was just me. Could I have moved out? Hell yeah, I could have moved out. But it wouldn't have been nowhere where I wanted to move to. I would have had to move in the hood somewhere. I want to get out the hood. My OG still live in the hood, but her house paid for. She good. You got the biggest house, the best house, because she done put money into gutting the whole thing out and making it modern. She's retired. She's retired. She's living her life. She's comfortable. Her house paid for. So it don't make sense for her to move. She can live comfortably in the hood. Me, I don't want to live over there. I come visit. So I didn't have any children. So people that are getting into the space now, you got to take account for everything that it costs you to live on a monthly basis. If you got children, if you're married, if you have a mortgage, if you're paying rent, you're out on your own, you got car notes. You got to look and see how much it costs you to live on a monthly basis. Then you have to see how much you're making gross in your box truck business. If it costs you this much to live and you're making this much, and this pretty much neck and neck, if it costs you this much to live, you need to be making this much. No, if it costs you, let me see. If it costs you this much to live, you should be making this much. Right about here. If it costs you this much to live, you need to be making it this. Listen, the more you make, and this is what people fall victim to. The more people make, the more expensive their lifestyle becomes. You got to figure out ways that when you make more money, you figure out ways to decrease your lifestyle. All right. So when you sit down and you do these numbers, you know, your gross for your business, you got to do your personal as well. And if those numbers are close to each other, sacrifice is going to have to come from somewhere. And 9.5 times out of 10, that sacrifice is going to have to come on that personal level. If your living expenses is here and you making this, you got to increase your revenue. You got to increase the money coming in or decrease your living. In order to pay yourself more, you got to make more money. And if you can't make more money, then you got to sacrifice, you got to decrease your living. If you're running and you're making $5,000 a week, and after that $5,000, $2,000 is left, and your rent is $2,000, technically if it's $2,000 left, and you still ain't paying Uncle Sam, you still haven't paid yourself because you're the last person to get paid. As a business owner, sometimes you can't pay yourself. If you're really running your business efficiently and effectively, what happens when you come across a time where you can't pay yourself? Any person that's in business, and see me, I'm real. I don't come on YouTube and I don't tell you about the good. I tell you about the bad too. There was times where I couldn't pay myself. When I got into cross docking, and I know people want me to talk about cross docking. I actually was supposed to talk about it last week. I might do a pop-up one day this week to talk about cross docking. When I got into cross docking, that was a whole different ball game. Why? Because I become the 3PL. I become my own 3PL company. So because of that, they don't look at me as the same as they look at an independent contractor. They don't look at me like that. Dude, you got your own warehouse. You can wait on your money just like we can wait. You got enough money to have a warehouse, forklifts, and all this stuff. You can wait. You ain't like these independent contractors. You on a different level. You know something. To get to this point you pretty smart. So you gonna wait. So when I first started cross docking, those first initial months, I wasn't getting paid, but we was running freight. The freight was coming straight to my warehouse and we was running it. I didn't get paid for 3 months. I never factored a day in my life. I run final mile. I never factored a day in my life. If you can find a factor with my company, I give you 10 grand. You'll never find it. I never factored. All right. So for those first 3 months, all that money was coming out of my pocket, out of the business, just the cash flow that the business had. Right. And there came a time where once we did start to get paid, that pay was not consistent week to week because they're paying us for jobs once they got paid. So if we did a job, let's say a particular delivery, let's say 90 days ago, and that money came through, then we got that money with maybe some money that came through for something we did 60 days ago, with maybe some money we did 120 days ago. So those settlements will fluctuate. Some weeks we would get a settlement of $700. Some weeks it would be $3,000. Some weeks it would be $5,000. Some weeks it would be $900. But guess what? The pay period that I have to pay my employees for, let's say my payroll for that particular period might have been, let's say, $2,000 because we did a lot of reverse logistics and a lot of deliveries that week. So the payout for that particular cross-docking contract wasn't consistent with what I had to pay and the work that we were doing in that pay period. Most of the times, I was operating that accounts at a loss in that particular time period. They owed the money, right? It's just we don't get that money until they get it. When I stopped running that contract, I stopped that contract the The month that I stopped that contract, they still owed me. They were still paying me settlements for 8 months. The last day we ran that contract, I still got paid on a weekly basis for 8 months. That's how far behind the settlements were. So it came a time where I had to rob Peter to pay Paul. Luckily for me, I have a whole nother company, a moving company. And at the time period where we were doing a lot of deliveries, because I remember Veterans Distribution, they also have the same contract. They have a 1,000,000 square foot warehouse, so they were getting a lot more volume from us. But it came a time period where their warehouse was just overfilled with stuff because they have a plethora of different contracts. And they told nonstop, like, yo, we'll continue to do Home Depot, but we're not doing none of the pickups. We're not doing no reverse logistics. So I went in my dashboard one day, and I'm used to seeing my little 20, 30 orders a day coming in. And then I went in the dashboard one day, I had 176 new orders. I'm like, whoa. And it was all pickups. I called, yo, what's going on? We don't even do Home Depot. Yeah, veterans said they don't want to do no more reverse logistics, so we giving them all to you. Can you handle it? Yeah, I can handle it. But now I'm getting all the reverse logistics, so all the pickups for Home Depot. So now I've increased my volume of orders for this particular contract, and increasing the volume of orders increases the volume of stops, which increases the pay because I got people going out. So now instead of me running a truck to do deliveries for this contract on a daily basis, I'm running a truck to do deliveries, and I'm running a truck to do reverse logistics. So I got a truck dropping off and I got a truck picking up. So that first pay period, when I started doing that, I doubled my payroll for that. But guess what? The settlement for that pay period didn't equate to what we operated. So at that particular time, right then and there, I had to dig to pay these guys. And it came to a point where the volume was way up here, and the settlements that they were given just weren't the money that they were given as far as the companies that were paying, it just wasn't nowhere near of the amount of volume that we were doing. And it came to a time that I pretty much drained most of the cash flow from the delivery business, right? Because of that one particular account, cross docking. So I had to start taking money from the moving company. God bless the moving company, and God bless at that time period, it was the summertime, so the moving company was thriving, and I was able to do it. And that's how I was able to overcome that particular dark time, in business. And there's other dark times. All right? There's other dark times. So, I just wanted to come on here tonight and talk to y'all and kind of get y'all in the mind frame of what it takes to be a good business person. You don't want to be a box trucker. You don't want to have me calling y'all out and be like, you're a box trucker, you're a business person, you're a box trucker, you're a box trucker, you're a box. I don't want to have to do that. You know what I'm saying? So sacrifice. And when I say sacrifice, I never really dive into what it is. But 9 times out of 10, the sacrifice is going to have to come from the personal side, especially if you're coming into the business news. Don't believe what people tell you about, it's box trucking is, you're going to make a lot of money and you're going to, no. A lot of y'all see that a lot of shit that people were selling y'all ain't true. It's not true. You want to live a certain lifestyle, you got to increase your revenue. But in order to increase your revenue, it's going to take a lot of sacrifice at the beginning. I didn't sacrifice. Look, I'm supposed to have been married twice. No cap. I'm supposed to have been married twice. I'm supposed to have kids. I'm supposed to did a lot of shit that I didn't do because I put the business before I put anything. My ex, I was talking to her the other day, the ex that I was with when I first started my business, she was like, it's because of you I never did an entrepreneur again. She said, I never did an entrepreneur again. I put the business before anything. I got to get it. I have to get it by any means necessary. And I just gave y'all insight to my personal living. It costs me $10,000 to $11,000 on average a month. And that's a month that I didn't take a trip. I didn't really go on a shopping spree. I ain't really did too much shopping this summer. I haven't. The last trip I took was in May, so I didn't go nowhere in June, July, August. If I take a trip, that 10 to 11 easily turned to 16,000. $17,000. December, that 10 to 11 can easily turn to 15, 16,000. You know? So my basic expenses is 10 to 11,000. So my business have to make enough money to pay me that to live. So obviously I got to get paid more than that on a monthly basis. So if something goes awry with one of my businesses, something has to get sacrificed. Some got to go. Someone's going to have to go. So I'm going to have to go. Something in here is going to have to go. I paid off one of my cars the other day. So well, I already took that down, so I can't show you. So my my car vehicle ain't gonna be in the 3,000s no more. It's actually gonna be about $800 less. All right. But something would have to go. I'm gonna have to get rid of something. My trainer, I can't pay you $600 a month. So I'm gonna have to take the workouts that you've been giving me, even though I prefer to have a trainer 2 days a week, because it's certain muscles that I don't know how to hit. It's certain things that I'm trying to do with my body, and I need a professional to show me and work with me and push me and show me how to hit certain muscles. But guess what? If my pay decreases, the trainer got to go. He got to go. First thing got to go is your trainer. Can't go shopping. No trips to Saks. No trips to Neiman's. None of that. A trip, that ain't going to even be a thought in my mind. You know what? We're going to have to keep the AC at 74 degrees. We're going to have to keep the heat at 72 if it's the wintertime. I cut them lights off. Remember your grandma back in the day? I don't know. Some of y'all, we grew up poor. Not poor, po. We was po. Cut them damn lights off in my house. Any of y'all grandma used to say that? Cut them damn lights off. I'm finna be cutting off lights. I'm gonna have to start streaming less. It costs money to stream. I got lights and shit all around, screens. All this is electricity. This particular business pays for it. That's why my electricity bill is so high. My electricity bill damn near $200. Oh, I didn't even add my cable bill. I pay $300 a month for cable and internet. I didn't even add that to my expenses. I forgot about my cable. $300. I don't even watch TV. I'm just paying. They just taking this shit out every month. That would have to go. I would have to get some type of $60 holler. I would have to go holler at them guys and get the fire stick or something. Well, I'm gonna be watching TV and I'm gonna turn to the news and they're gonna be giving me the news in Philly, and I live in Chicago, because whoever hacking the news or mirroring the cable that sold the fire stick or whatever, they from Philly. So I'm watching news from Philly. I have to get a fire stick. I'm gonna have to cut that $300 out. So that's the point. Your business does a certain amount of money. You have to pay yourself. After you cover all your expenses, all right, boom, everything is paid. Everybody is paid. Let's say it's $2,000 left. I gave this example the other day. Out of this $2,000, now I still have to pay myself, right? Because paying myself is a taxable event. What am I going to pay myself? I would pay myself 33% of that $2,000. After that 33%, what's left, Uncle Sam gets 33% of that. And then what's left is cash flow. So let's say if I pulled in $2,000 a month, after everything was paid, it was $2,000 left. I say 33% of that $2,000. That's going to give me $666. Out of that $1,340, I'm going to take another 33% of that. That's going to, let me see, 2,000 minus 33%. That's 660. All right, so 1,340 minus 33%. That's 442. So that's going to leave about $900. So let's say after everything is paid, everybody is paid, it's $2,000 left. I pay myself 660, 33%. The cash flow, $900 goes to cash flow, about 450 goes to Uncle Sam. All right. So 660 times 4. I can only pay myself $2,640 a month. And that's what a real business person would do. If I gross 5,000 for the week, and after my fuel is paid, let's say I'm running middle mile. After fuel is paid, I factored in my cost per mile, my truck, my insurance, and everything. It's $2,000 left. Once I pay myself 33%, which is going to be $660, $1,340 is left. 33% of that to Uncle Sam, it's about $442, $450. About $900 is left to cash flow. I made $660. That's $2,640 a month. How the hell can I pay a $2,000 mortgage if I'm only making $2,600 a month? But this is what people do. After everything is paid, that $2,000, they take that $2,000 for themselves. And then they pay themselves $8,000 a month. The business is broke. Truck breaks down, you hollering and screaming. Oh man, the truck broke down. The transmission went out. The engine went out. It broke down while I was doing a load. I had to borrow from the factoring company. I had to call back home and get them to send some money so I could get on the flight. I left the truck in the middle of Arkansas somewhere. So this is where the sacrifice come in. Now, if you would have been paying yourself the correct way, $660 a month, your business would be taking home, your business would be bringing in about $900 of cash flow a week. That's about $3,600 a month. If you're averaging about, let's say after all expenses, about $2,000 a week, you pay yourself, the business may be making about $900 a week cash flow. That's $3,600 a month. You would have the money more than likely to do what you need to do. But you've been sacrificing the business to pay yourself handsomely. And that's why the business is broke. And that's why a lot of people are failing. They can't figure it out. So are you going to pay yourself what you should be paying yourself, the fair wage that you should be paying yourself, and allow the business to be able to sustain? Or are you going to continue to ride from the sustainability of the business in order for you to have some type of lifestyle that you really can't afford because you wanted to come in and be a business owner and you don't understand the fundamentals of how to run a business efficiently? So if you can only pay yourself $660 a week, which is $2,640 a month, that means you have to increase your revenue or decrease your living. You can't afford this. You can't afford. If this was me, I wouldn't be able to afford to pay $2,000 a month for mortgage. I wouldn't be able to spend $3,800 a month on car notes and insurance. My assessments are $500 a month. I wouldn't be able to do none of this stuff. I would have to go back home and live with my mama. And that's no cap. I don't think at $2,600 a month, I can find an apartment. The average one bedroom in Chicago is $1,900 a month. So even if I look for an apartment, you got to make 3 times the amount. And $2,600 a month ain't 3 times the amount if the average one bedroom is $1,900 a month. And this is why people rob from the sustainability of their business to live. So the sacrifice got to come from somewhere. Either you're going to be a box trucker who continues to rob from your business to maintain a certain type of lifestyle, or a lifestyle, or just to live, period. It don't have to be an extravagant lifestyle, just to live. Living is expensive. And it's only getting higher. So as a business person, you always have to figure out ways to make more money. So either you're going to have to increase your revenue or decrease your living. And if you're a smart business person, in the beginning stages of your business, you need to decrease your living. When you go into business, you need to decrease your living because you're going to be broke at the beginning. If you're young and you're in your 20s and you can live at home with your parents, I would advise you to live at home with your parents if you're starting your box truck business. If they allow you to live rent free and scot free, take all that money and duplicate what I did. If you're a person who's older, who has a family, you got kids, you have responsibilities, you're going to have to make a sacrifice, especially if you're getting into this business and it's going to be your sole source of income. You're going to have to make a sacrifice. Average box trucker that's running in any lane is averaging about $20,000 a month. And that's if you're running. That's if you're running. It's about $5,000 a week gross. That's gross. Now, if you're moving, that number can go upwards from there. But a lot of y'all y'all ain't about that life. Y'all ain't about that life. A lot of y'all ain't about that moving life. I'll show you how to really get it. But a lot of y'all ain't about that life. So I'll take a few questions. Increase your revenue, decrease your living. Use that formula. I promise you, you'll start seeing some success. The unfortunate thing is it costs money to run a business. And the business don't give a damn about what you got going on in your personal life, but you have to pay yourself accordingly. If 5,000 is your gross and you got 2,000 left, I keep using this example because the math is easy. After all things are paid, you're taking that 2,000 because you need it. And I understand, but that's not the way you should do it. So that means you need to decrease your living. You need to sacrifice, and the sacrifice is going to have to come from your personal. So I'll take a few questions, and then I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here, man. We got 77 in here on a Sunday night on a late pop-up. What up? Make sure y'all hit that like button, man. I'm sick as a dog, but I still wanted to get this message out. You dig what I'm saying? So hit the like. 5-star said, don't forget maintenance money. Here's the thing. I added the basic stuff. That like I said, there's going to be other things that occur, incidentals that occur. But with the basic stuff, a lot of people can't afford to maintain their lifestyle. I don't know if you were here earlier, I did a very modest example on if I were getting into the box truck space with my current living expenses. There's no way I would be able to do it. And this is with me paying somebody very low. This is with a very low truck note, very low insurance. And after all the expenses came out, with me still being able to pay myself a certain amount of money to maintain the lifestyle that I already had entering into the business, I wouldn't be able to do it. I would fail. But yeah, once you add all those incidentals, those unforeseen situations that are going to arise, that's going to put a lot of people kaput. That's why it's very important that you have cash flow. And going back to this example that I use, because it's an average and it's a normal example that the average person grosses about 5,000, where you're running middle or where you're running final. And let's say your expenses are about 3,000, you got 2,000, you still got to pay yourself 33%. You should be paying yourself about $660, $650, which is only going to be about $2,500, $2,600 a month. But most of the people are just taking that full 2,000. And that's why when things happen, they don't have any money. The business should be taking about $900 a week, about $3,600 a month. I said this the other day. How is it the business is broke, but your rent is paid? How's the business broke? The business should have more money than you. The business should make more money than you. You shouldn't pay yourself more than what the business is getting paid, what you're allotting the cash flow on a week-to-week basis. You should be allotting more to cash flow than what you're taking home. That's why I say 33%. Then at the end of the year, if you run like a successful business person, you say, hey, Mark, I followed your rule. It was a great year. But the problem is my cash flow been so good. My trucks ain't really broke down. Everything has been going good. Man, I got a lot of cash flow that I'm going to have to pay taxes on. See, we ain't even got to that point. Then I'll show you how to do that. In December, man, what you need, what the business need. All right, start spending money. Start spending money. Spend as much money on things that the business needs before December 31st so you can write that stuff off. See, we can't get to that point because I got to steady come back and talk about cash flow. See, ain't nobody else talking about this stuff because a lot of people ain't ran a business as long as I've ran it. And this ain't a knock. I'm just keeping it 1,000. I want to talk about other stuff. I want to talk about, hey, Mark, man, I got 100,000 in cash flow, bro. I'm going to have to pay. Man, what's going on? It's a lot of money. Man, let's spend some of that. What you need? What the business need? You know what? All right, go get 6 new tires for that truck. Go do this. I heard you say you wanted a new car, man. Instead of buying that car, lease that car into the business. You should be able to get some depreciation. You know what I'm saying? Lease that car into the business. Go do this, go do that. Try to spend some of this money before December 31st comes so that this can be a write-off for this year's taxes. We can't talk about cool stuff like that because a lot of people don't have money in the cash flow because they've been robbing it. They've been robbing the business to take care of home. I've heard people say, man, I got to take care of home. You're saying you got to take care. You should be taking care of home, not the business. You personally should be taking care of home. If the business can't pay you enough so that you can take care of your lifestyle and your home, that means you need to decrease your home or you need to make more money. But you can't rob from the sustainability of the business. I'm going to take some questions. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. I guess you got to use corporate America to create passive income. Then you can start this business. I don't know if you. I don't know if you. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. The main reason a lot of people aren't succeeding is one of a few reasons. One, they're not working hard enough, and two, they're not doing what I'm talking about right now. They're not sacrificing. You can make it. I just gave y'all an insight on what it costs me to live. And it's just me. I don't have any kids. I don't have a wife. I don't have nothing. It's just me. And it costs me $10,000 to $11,000 a month to live, which is a lot. So if I can afford to live at $10,000 to $11,000 a month cost by myself, you can do it too. You just got to work. But you're going to also have to sacrifice at the beginning. A lot of people aren't sacrificing. Some people going to have to move back in with their mama. Some people going to have to turn in one of them expensive cars if they got an expensive car. Some people may have to downgrade. If you're a single person, you got a 2-bedroom, you may have to downgrade to a 1-bedroom. I don't know what you got to do. The point of this is to tell you that you're going to have to sacrifice, and a lot of that sacrifice is going to have to come on the other side, because the reason why a lot of people are taking money from the business is to pay for their personal living. You're going to be broke at the beginning. Like, who told you was going to come into any business and take off? It's not the way it works. So, no. If you're saying you got to use corporate America, I didn't use corporate America. I put my head down and I got to work. I stayed at the crib. I invested all the money that I was making back into the business. I did that for 4 years. Strong. I aggressively scaled up. I lost a girlfriend of 4 years because I refused to move out my mama's crib. And I was making, at that time, in upwards, I was approaching about $4,000, $5,000 a day. Still living at the crib. Wasn't ready yet. When I was ready, I knew I was ready. And then that's when I made the move. I knew what my plan was. I had my plan, I had my goal, and I wasn't going to let anybody or anyone deter me. So if we got to break up, we just going to break up. That's 4 years gone. But I ain't moving out my mama crib because what she's allowing me to do is to reinvest back into the business. That was my sacrifice. So people got to make their sacrifices. It is what it is. Hey, check it out. I'm 14 years in. So it's easy. It may seem like it's easy for me to sit up here and say this, but in 2010, I was busting my ass. I could tell you stories about falling off the truck, throwing my shoulder out. I fell off the truck, bit my whole leg back one day. I still was getting out here. I worked the whole summer with a shoulder. I don't know if it was dislocated or what. I never went to the doctor. I thugged it out and did till it felt better months later. Every time we had to come up with a couch and we was going up, let's say 2 or 3 flights of stairs, and I was on the top, I would get to that top stair and I would have to go up. I couldn't go up. I have to do that because my shoulder was messed up. I threw my shoulder out, so I couldn't just reposition it when I got to that top stair, and the wall was back here, and I could just, even though I had the chest and the shoulder strip at that point, go straight up and then come around. I couldn't do it. My shoulder was out. But the point I'm making, I was still at work. When I bought the first vehicle I bought, and while I was working, doing the move and building the business, I started in 2010. In 2012, I bought a Chevy Camaro. All right. I still had the Avalanche. Remember, that's how I got started, working out the back of my Avalanche. Got that first Penske truck. By 2012, I was paying myself, and this is working out of 3 Penske trucks. This is working out of 3 Penske trucks. I was averaging paying myself about $5,000 a week just after everything was paid. I'm still hustling at this point. I went and bought a Chevy Camaro. I didn't even buy a new one. I bought a used one. It was $25,000. It wasn't even an SS. It was an RS. But that was good enough for me at that time. It was $25,000. I walked in, 32 years old. I look very young. 43 now. I look young. So imagine how young I looked at 32. I hadn't bought a vehicle since 2002. I bought that Avalanche when they first came out in 2002. Right? So I hadn't bought a vehicle since then. I had the money. I could buy anything I probably wanted at that time, but I didn't want to just jump into something really, really luxury. I wanted to take my time, and I didn't want to have an expensive note because I still was building. But I had used my pickup truck to start the beginning processes of building a business, so I kind of beat it up. So I needed another car for when I wanted to go out on a date, something nice, something that wasn't a work vehicle, because I had beat the Avalanche up. I paid $25,000 for that Camaro. My note was $400 a month. I walked in there. The guy, Rami, he was like, "Man, how much can you put down?" I had brought $7,000 with me, cash. I gave him $6,000. Man, who you were? I work for myself. Man, well, you got your statements? I showed him 3 statements. He was like, "Damn, you bought the car last month. You deposited $25,000 into your account last month. Hold on, let me go talk to financing." Pushed me right through. Then the year later, I kept that Camaro for a year. Then that year later, I jumped into that 750. And that was stupid. Could afford it, yeah. Went to BMW, Joe Perillo. Walked in there, 33 years old. Thought I was doing something. Walked in there with 10 racks. The guy was like, "Why are you putting money down?" Me, I'm ignorant. I mean, what you mean? Ain't this what you're supposed to do? Nobody puts money down. I don't even know why you're buying it. You should be leasing the car. Me being stupid, in my head, I'm like, the rappers make fun of people that leasing. Ignorant. So I go in there, I put $8,000 down, like a dumbass. and I think I'm doing something. Now I got a Beamer. Still living at the crib though. The note went that much. It was like upwards like $1,000, whatever. 750. Li. Um, but I'm still making a lot of money and I'm stacking. Still living at the crib, right? 2014, I'm licensed and legal. Both businesses licensed and legal. Now I'm running. Now 2014 was my takeoff year. When I talk about if you got my course, the 5 stages to growth, stage 3 is your takeoff. That's the year I took off. And I acquired, I think in 2014 alone, I purchased 7 to 8 trucks. 8 trucks I purchased in 2014 alone. 8. All right. Then in 2015, I got out of that Beamer and traded that Beamer in for a brand new, another brand new. I traded it for a white 7 Series, a white 750. But this time I leased it. And the same sales guy who is now the finance manager, he was like, "Oh, you finally get it now." Yeah, I get it now. The point of this story is you see my progression, my mental progression. Even with how I spent money, I started off okay. I didn't jump out the window. I got a Camaro. Whoop-de-doo. I went and bought the Beamer. Bad decision on how I bought it. I learned from that mistake. I listened to what the guy was saying. I researched it. I talked to my accountant. He gave me an earful. When I went back, I leased this one, $100,000 lease. And when the tax time came, I leased that in August. When tax time came, my tax, he said, "Man, the depreciation on the Beamer on the lease saved you a lot of money this year. The Beamer depreciated $9,000 this year alone." So I learned. And then in 2014, I got this place. I bought this place. So before 2015, I think I skipped a year. So 2014 is when my takeoff year. I bought 8 trucks this year, and I got this place. That's when I was at full scale, 15 trucks, bunch of employees. I'm really making money. Now, okay, I'm at the pinnacle. Now it's time to start doing things for me. Now it's time to lead a nest. All right, let me go look and see what the market got. Actually, I've been in this building. I remember when I was on the truck years prior moving, I moved somebody into this building. And being a mover, going into a lot of different buildings, going into a lot of different homes, this building always stood out to me. I like the building. It's a true loft. It's not a manufactured loft. This is a true loft. And I always say, as a bachelor, I want to live in a real loft. And I said, when I ever get to where I want to get to, where my goal is, I'm going to move in this building. And God damn it, in 2014, I came and I bought this place. I remember moving somebody out of in this building, and I said, I want to move in this building. And I came and I moved in this building. And I've been here ever since. But I didn't do shit at the beginning. Even though I had a lot of money coming in, I was making shit. Before I was even licensed, when I was hustling off Craigslist, when I was running 3 Penske trucks, at the end of the month, for those last 2 weeks, the last week of each month, the first week of the month, for those 2 weeks, those 14 days, each truck was averaging about $1,000. After everything was said and done, I was making about $1,200, $1,300 a day, 7 days a week. When I became licensed, I started running IKEA. IKEA was a 7-day-a-week contract. I got moving trucks running 7 days. I got IKEA running 7 days. I got 9 trucks running Office Depot 5 days. I got select trucks running 7 days. I'm making money 7 days a week. But I allowed the business to grow and grow and grow and grow. And I sacrificed to continue to live at the crib. So that sacrifice got to come from somewhere. I hope, me giving you insight to my personal bills and expenses and how I got started, back then, in my sacrifice, and using an example, if I were to enter right now, how I wouldn't be able to survive. I think that's a lot of people's situation. And that just comes from me just listening to people and testimonials, watching other channels, listening to people. Nobody is paying the business. And then you wonder why people's businesses perish. Well, man, what happened? Well, the truck broke down. Well, this happened. Well, that happened. Well, I'm like, well, damn, why you didn't get it fixed? That's the first thing that popped into my head was, damn, why you didn't get it fixed? Well, why you didn't go do this? Because the business didn't have any money. Because the cash flow has been going into the pockets of the owner operator to live. So that's a long-winded answer for that corporate. So I disagree. You don't need corporate America. You could do it on your own. I did it on my own with no credit, no credit card, no financial investment. I utilized what I had. I put my head down and I got my ass and I took my ass to work. And that's it. So I kind of disagree with that. Did I set a 4-year goal? Actually, I didn't put a time frame on when I wanted to move. I just wanted to aggressively continue to grow the business. And I felt like when the time period came for me to leave, I would leave. I didn't know 2014 was going to be my takeoff year. I knew ultimately I wanted a bunch of trucks, right? But I didn't know that the stars were going to align, that 2014 was going to be that year. You could set goals for yourself, timeline goals, but you kind of never know when that takeoff phase is going to happen. A lot of it has to do with your work, right? Your work ethic, the work that you're putting in to grow the business. But then some of it is just also the stars aligning. A big part of success in business and smart business people will tell you this is timing. 2014, I was just in the right place at the right time. The stars were aligning for me. You know what I'm saying? I had been in business long enough that when Dynamics went looking for movers because the independent contractors were failing at IKEA because they weren't used to delivering furniture. Dynamics was used to delivering small parcels. So these ICs that weren't used to maneuvering bigger boxes were a lot of claims. So when they said, you know what, let's see if we can onboard some movers, my company just happened to be at the top of the list because I had built a successful moving company that had great reviews. And when they went on Yelp for the reviews, he told me your company was at the top of the list. So I was in the right place at the right time when they went to look for movers in order to receive that call. So that situation was timing. And then that situation allowed me to come into Dynamics, run that contract on a 7-day-a-week basis, grow that contract to a multitude of trucks. At one point, we was running 6 trucks for IKEA, 3 for the morning route and 3 for 5 to 9s. And then when, man, you're doing a good job over here, man, we've been hearing about you with IKEA. How many trucks do you have? Because we need help over here with this Office Depot. How many trucks do you need? I mean, how many can you give us? I can give you as many as you want. Why? Because I knew where the people were in the hood. Everybody that I brought on was from the hood. It was from my neighborhood. I put my neighborhood on the map. So I would never worry about people. This is a different time period. Would I be able to do that, what I did back then? Now, no. So when I say business is about timing, it's about timing. A lot of the stuff that I was able to do between 2010 and let's say 2014, I would not be able to do now. Between 2017 and 2018, I started to see a shift. 2017 to 2018 is when I made an exit plan. I made an exit plan for 2025. The pandemic allotted me and awarded me the opportunity to exit majority during the pandemic. Why? Because I could sell off a lot of my fleet at an inflated rate. And then I also knew that, you know what, people don't want to come to work. Once this thing is over, they definitely not coming back to work. So why hold on to all these assets that I'm not running anymore due to this pandemic? I'm only running 2 or 3 trucks, and I could sell the other trucks for more money than I bought them for 10 years ago. I'll never get a chance like this again. So as a smart businessman, I took a depreciating asset. I took depreciating assets and I made money off depreciated assets 10 years later. That was a smart business move. Do we still do, we do big contracts now. That's it. I do big contracts and celebrity jobs. That's it. That's it. So I moved my exit plan up by a few years. All right. So I set an exit plan, but I ended up moving it up. All right, due to the pandemic. A lot of the that as far as me buying my place and that takeoff phase 2014, I knew it was gonna come. I just didn't know when. 2014, Select called me, Dynamics called me. I didn't go searching for none of these places. I didn't know a Dynamics existed. I didn't know a Final Mile existed. I was strictly a moving company. 2014, Dynamics introduced me to Final Mile. When I came in for that meeting, they showed me the rates, and I'm looking at the rates, and they said you could either go this way or this way. I chose to go that way, the guarantee route. They offered me a guarantee coming straight to the door. I didn't know what a guarantee was at the time. But back then, they were offering guarantees. They're not offering guarantees no more. You go to a 3PL now and say, man, I want a guarantee. They're going to laugh at you. Now, some of them will give you, like, some of them will pay you, say, okay, we're going to pay $750. And that's sort of kind of like a guarantee. But you go in trying to tell them, look, I want $1,000 a day. Rain, sleet, or snow, I want $1,000. They ain't negotiating nothing. They not budging. Look, the contract pays $750 for 10 to 12 stops, for up to 12 stops. If you go over 12 stops, then they'll pay an additional $50 or $60 a stop, whatever. But you ain't walking in saying, yo, I need this much. And they saying, okay. Man, shit ain't going no more. So Dynamics made that call. They introduced me to Final Mile. I started researching. That's why I created a whole separate company. I was just running with them. They kept me plenty busy. But then I got a call from this company, and then a call from that company. So 2014 was my takeoff year. And then that was the year that I took care of my personal. I had the money. The business was thriving. I had been removed from a truck for like a year and a half now. Before I bought this place, I got an office. I furnished the office. I got the operations office, my dispatcher office. Genesis was my assistant who handled all the books, the accounting. Stack was my fleet manager. I had a conference room, and then I had the big corner office in the back. Then after that, I got my crib. So I built my fleet, got the office, then got my crib. Got my crib September of 2014. Ever owned a Isuzu NPR box truck? No. Never owned one of those. The reason I never owned an Isuzu NPR is because I don't like the way they ride. Me personally, I don't like the fact you got to flip it over to get to the engine. I've driven them. I don't like the bumpy ride. I don't like the fact that you're sitting over the engine. I don't like it. So I've never purchased them. Just your opinion. Just wondering what your opinion on hot shot trucking. I don't have one. I think it's an easier way to get in trucking from a flatbed perspective. I really don't have one. I think if that's what suits your fancy, I say go for it. How's business now? My business is great. I run a multitude of different businesses, and I'm doing good. I'm not fully vested into moving in Final Mile, as I just told you. I only do big contracts and big jobs now. um, so the day to day on running for 3PLs and stuff like that, I fully divested from that. as I planned to do anyway. I was in a position, just to reiterate it again, that I had assets that had appreciated, which never happens. So as a smart businessman, I did the right thing because I knew that I would not operate at scale any longer. I was looking to divest by 2025 anyway. The pandemic gave me the opportunity to divest with profit off my depreciating assets, which will probably never happen again in my lifetime. You'll never see a time where you can buy, let's say, a truck for 15,000 in 2013, 2014, right? You buy a truck for 15,000 and then in 2023, 10 years, 11 years later, sell it for 40,000 after you put a couple 100,000 miles on it. No, you bought it for 15,000 then, it should probably be 5,000 now. No, because of the pandemic and a lot of not smart people. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. People were buying depreciating assets for a lot money than what they were worth. And me and Kurt was talking about this a week ago. We were kind of laughing because he sold off all his trucks during the pandemic and jumped in a semi. He sold all his trucks. I think he bought one truck for 50, 60. One of them, he knows he sold it for 80,000. Made 20, 30,000 off a depreciating asset. That'll never probably happen again in my lifetime. Never. So business is great for me because I know how to make money and allot myself more time. I've invested handsomely throughout my tenure in business that allows me to have more time on my hand. I don't know if you were in here earlier, but I gave you an insight on what it cost me to live. So I do pretty well for myself. So business is good. I just found you today I'm late, but how much should the business have in the bank after starting, excluding buying the truck and insurance in Chicago, looking for mentorship also? All right, so mentorship, I don't do mentorship. I know my name is Mark the Mentor, but I don't do mentoring, like mentorship program where, you can call me 24 hours a day and then I charge you an egregious amount of money. If I were to put a value on what my mentorship would cost, you would be looking in the upwards of 15 to 20 grand. I don't do it though. So I do coaching and consultations where you would have to schedule something, but I don't do mentorships. Now, as far as uh, how much should you have in the bank after starting, based on what I see out here today with inflation, things of that nature, operating expenses, learning curve, claims, just incidentals, things of that nature. On the low end, after you acquire everything, you pay for everything, you got your truck, you got your authority, you put your deposit down, you got your insurance, you're active, you're ready to go. I think you should have about, on the low end, minimum of 10 to 15 grand cash flow. And that's really low. I really want to say 20. But I think if you got 10 to 15,000, you're working on the truck and you can sacrifice by decreasing a lot of your spending habits on your personal side to be able to provide you the opportunity to take those losses at the beginning while you learn. I think that should be enough. Now, on the personal side, you need to have at least 3 to 6 months saved up, right, to be able to live. Because if you run the business the correct way, those first few months, you may not be able to pay yourself. The business makes a certain amount of money. After all expenses are paid, there may not be any money left, or the money that's left for you to take out of to pay yourself, it may be so minute that it's not covering the cost of your living expenses. And I'm speaking even if you have very modest living expenses. So I would say have at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses. So if it costs you $4,000 a month to live, your rent, your car note, your gas, electric, whatever it costs you to live, your essentials, let's say 4 to 5,000, then you need to have somewhere between $12 and $20,000 saved up, because you may not be able to pay yourself And you may have to take from your savings to cover the cost of living while you figure out this business, because you may not be able to pay yourself from the business yet because you're still learning. The business is probably going to be operating at a loss. So I would say 3 to 6 months of living. Whatever it costs you to live, you need to have 3 to 6 months saved up. As far as the business is concerned, I would say $10,000 cash flow. $10,000 cash flow. Um, but if you're sacrificing on the living side, then you can kind of teeter that a little bit if you got money on your personal side to cover your living expenses. So, uh, what's your cash app that's in the question? If you want to super chat, you can super chat. It's a little dollar sign in the bottom corner. What's your view on having an Asian massage secretary? I don't have a view on that. How do you feel about leasing a truck? I personally, it crossed my mind during my years of growing. Um, I did take a meeting with Ryder years ago. Don't remember the year, but it was probably at least about 8 years ago. I looked at those options back then. I think it was, don't quote me, it was like $25,000 or 25,000 miles a year or 2,500. I don't remember, but once I looked at it, it was just better for me to just purchase. Trucks back then were very inexpensive. I was making an egregious amount of money, so if you follow me, you know my story. I was just buying trucks. I was just writing a check. Trucks weren't that much, so it just didn't make sense for me to spend money on something that, you know, I could spend less money with what I would have been spending to lease a truck. With what trucks were costing, I could buy 3 trucks. Yeah, it'll be older, about 8 years older. But that's 3 times the amount of revenue coming in versus one. And that's how I looked at it. That's how I looked at it. Why would I go spend 25 or whatever it was after leasing it for whatever, $22,000 a month? And in 4 months, I could just go buy a truck with that $2,000 I'm leasing. In 5 months, I can go buy a truck. Trucks are going 10 grand. So why am I giving these people 25,000, 24,000 a year? That's 3 trucks. That's 3 times the amount of revenue. So, me personally, leasing is like renting in some cases. It's better than renting, but because they're more lenient with the mileage, they treat you a lot better when you're on the leasing side versus the rental side because you have a long-term commitment. So because of that long-term commitment, you know, they treat you a lot better than the renter. They treat renters like, nowadays they treat you really, really bad. I don't want to give the adjective that I was going to use, but they treat renters really, really bad now. But there's reason why, you know what I'm saying? But you know, I'm not fond of leasing. Make sure y'all hit that like button. We got about 70 people still in here rocking out with your boy. 77 likes. Let's see if we can get them likes to about 100 before I get out of here. I'll answer a few more questions. I'm skipping around to my members. My members only get the priority. Let's see. Dre, thanks for answering my question. How much for coaching consulting? Go visit my website, www.boxtruckcourses.com. It's right there, www.boxtruckcourses.com. Go visit the website and book you a session. I'd love to talk to you. What's your thought on people getting started with their tax money? I mean, if that's your initial investment to get started, go for it. Just make sure you you have enough money saved up to live, because you're going to probably take a loss at the beginning or move back in with your parents. You know, you're going to have to make some type of sacrifice. So if you take your tax money, and let's say you don't have any money saved up, your taxes hit, and let's say your taxes is 10,000. That's on the high end. That's if you got kids and stuff. So let's say the taxes is 10 grand and it takes you 10 grand to get into the space. You get in the space rental, your deposit, down payment for the rental, your down payment for your insurance, your authority, everything it takes you. If you didn't have any money and that tax money hit, now you took the tax money to get into the box truck space, you still don't have no money. So now you got a box truck business and you still broke. So how are you going to live? And how is the box truck business going to sustain while you go through the learning curve? You don't even have enough money to pay Mark a coaching fee so that you can kind of go around the learning curve. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's okay if you're using it as funding for the business, but I don't think it's okay if when your taxes hit, you don't have any money saved up. If you don't have no money saved up, then you need to put that $10,000 in the bank, and you need to figure out a way to grow that $10,000 without spending all of it to grow it. You know what I'm saying? So taking 10,000, investing in a business, and being broke and thinking that, oh well, the business is going to get me up out of this jam. That's a bad mind frame. So I would only think it's good if you got money somewhere else. Can you be profitable renting out a truck starting off and running middle mile in Dallas? I don't know. I don't know. It depends on how hard you run, um, how you structure how you run, um, and this is something I never wanted to talk about. I never wanted to dive into people's personal, you know, expenses, but I see based on what I've been coming across online. Let me take this haul out. I don't know why I put a haul in and I'm sitting here talking. I don't want that to go into the mic. I see that I gotta touch on it. It all depends. If you're averaging about $5,000 a week, let's say you running from Dallas up north to Chicago and then back, you running in a straight line. You can get freight coming out of Texas, bringing it up north, and for sure you can get freight from up here going down south. Just say you do that 2 or 3 times a week. Let's say you gross $5,000. Factor in how much money it's costing you to rent a truck. Let's say you rent a truck. Let's all right. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this real quick. Let's say uh let's say you coming out of Dallas, and let's say you're running a truck, and let's say your truck rental is, let's be fair, $1,000 a week, and that's all in. That's all in $1,000 a week. So let's say $1,000 a week truck rental. Let's say fuel. Give me 1 second. Let's put your fuel at. I want to put it somewhere between 15 and 2,000. Let's say 2,000. All right. Let's say you grossing on average 5,000. And you got 1,000 coming out for your rental. You got 2,000 coming out for fuel. This on a weekly basis. Let's say your insurance is, let's say 2,000 a month. Let's say 1,800 a month. Let's say 1,800 a month divided by 4. So swing this back over here. Insurance. So let's say this is on a weekly basis. So let's say 450 a week for insurance. You already at 3,450. And I think these numbers are modest. You got people paying more than $1,000 a week for rental. If you add what some of these mileage rates, you well over 1,000. I'm being modest to try to prove a point. Fuel about 2,000. You spending about 450 a week on insurance. That fuel can kind of go either way, but I put it at 2,000 because I was very modest with the rental. The rental is probably gonna cost you more. All right, let's say, once you add in, and I'm not finna go through all the other miscellaneous stuff, but let's say we at 3450 right now. Let's say we're gonna add, and we're gonna be modest. We're gonna add another five for miscellaneous. Miscellaneous is gonna include, your ELD and everything else, incidentals, you having the hotel, if you sleeping in your truck, paying for a shower, all that type of stuff. I'm being modest. Let's add 500, right? So you at 3950. Let's just round that to 4,000, right? Let's just round that to 4,000. And that's with a box truck rental. And that's a fair assessment. Why? Because I look at people's numbers all the time that run middle mile all the time. So that's 4,000. You averaging about 5,000. You still haven't paid yourself. You still haven't paid yourself. You got $1,000 left. And this is just an example, but this example is as close to the truth on what the average person that's running that lane is making. You got $1,000 left. So out of this $1,000, you gotta have cash flow. You gotta pay Uncle Sam. You gotta pay yourself. So 33% of that 1,000, you're gonna pay yourself $333. Right? So that's gonna leave. We're gonna put it over here. That's gonna leave $777. Right? You gonna take. Give me a second, y'all. Let me get my calculator. Minus. Well, hold on. I'm sorry. 1,000 minus 33%. 33% is 330. I'm sorry. I don't know why I was thinking 333. 330. So that's going to leave 670. So you're going to pay yourself $330. Out of that 670, we're going to take 33% out for Uncle Sam. That's going to be another 221. And that's going to be for Uncle Sam or US, same thing, Uncle Sam, United States, whatever. That's going to leave you with $448. And that's going to be cash flow. All right. So to answer your question, based on this example, running a rental, I don't know. Can you survive off $330 a week? Hey, Pippi, what is this guy talking about? Has he been in the chat? Because what is he talking about? A blunt? I don't even smoke. So pay attention to Buddy. Let me know what we got to do. If you still in here, Pippi, let me know if you still in here. I'm loading up, though. I'm loading up. So who was I answering that question for? Whoever I was answering that question for, that's a good example. It's kind of rough right now. Truck rentals are very expensive. So, average middle mile person that's running. The average middle miler that I've been talking to lately is grossing around $3,000 a week, if you want me to really be honest with you. But I think if you run really hard and you're willing to work and you're willing to stay out, you're not trying to get home every weekend to go see what Boo Bay doing, to make sure Boo Bay ain't cheating on you, ain't laying up, and you willing to stay out for weeks at a time, to put yourself, especially if you're coming from a market where it's just not freight heavy. It's just not a good area for freight. So you want to be in position. So in order to be in position, that may require you to stay out so that you can be in the areas where freight is good, the rates are good. So if you're one of those people that are willing to work, you can average about 5. The average is about 5. The people who are running laissez-faire, they make it about 3. They grossing about 3. So if you're averaging about 5 on a truck rental, average truck rental gonna cost you around $1,000 a week. Fuel gonna cost you somewhere between $2,000 a week. Your insurance, and then I put miscellaneous. That's gonna be all your logs, your showers, your hotels, all that stuff, your food, whatever else, parking, whatever. And that's modest. So with all that, me being very modest with a rental, these are an average of what your numbers would look like. Now, person will have $1,000 left. They, like I said, they're gonna take the whole 1,000. They're not gonna pay themselves $330. They're gonna pay themselves that 1,000. If they average that on a 4-week basis, they're gonna pay themselves about $4,000 a month, and the business is gonna be broke. So to answer your question, I have to answer with another question. Can you live off an average of $350, $500 a week? If you can't, then probably not. And that's if you're able to even have this type of money to be cash flow positive, $450. And your expenses on an average gross of 5,000, all expenses in about 4,000. I have $1,000 left to divvy up to pay you, Uncle Sam, and cash flow. A lot of people that make gross 5,000, they eating that whole 5,000 up. So, and I know because I see it. All you new people need to understand this year is a very bad year in trucking. Go do research. So, I think this year is a correction year. I don't think it's bad. I think, and the reason I say that is because there's people out here doing good. There's people out here doing not so good. There's people out here surviving that are maintaining. I think if you follow my channel, to all the new people, you know I'm big on economy. My channel kind of took off last year because I was the guy who told people they were not going to see no peak season, and I formulated my my forecast on that by just studying the economy, understanding what was going on, understanding the boom and bust cycle, understanding inflation, understanding supply and demand, paying attention to what the retailers were saying, paying attention to the buying behavior of the consumer. I think it's a year that is going to test is going to separate the haves from the have-nots, and it's going to separate the wolves from the sheep. The people who are surviving are wolves. They're going to do whatever it takes to win. And then there's going to be people that are going to be passive. They're going to do whatever it takes to get by, all while robbing from the sustainability of the business. And then it's just going to be the people that are going to perish. The people that are in the middle, they're going to eventually perish too if they're not conducting their business right, because they're just comfortable with getting by. Especially if they're not, structuring their business correctly. Eventually they're going to perish, because if the pendulum shifts one way or another, let's say the pendulum shifts in a downward trajectory and you're just running with a mindset of getting by, once that pendulum shifts in that downward trajectory, you're done. You're done. So it is what it is. I disagree. I think times like this are when people turn up. You're gonna see the wolf come out of people. You're gonna see some people cower up. I think people really don't grasp the concept of that when you start your business, it comes with work. People a mindset has been instilled in people from influencers. It's all from influencers online, that when you start a business, it's the gateway to financial freedom. Because people come to me, man, Mark, I want to start a box. Send me these long ass scriptures, Bible scriptures in my DM, long as hell, 3 or 4 pages long. Want me to have some type of sympathy and some long whatever. Man, I just want to start my box truck business because I want more time to spend with my family. And then I gotta be the bad guy to tell you, dude, you're gonna spend less time with your family. If you're really gonna do this, you're gonna spend less time, or you're gonna fail, especially at the beginning. Well, why do people think that when they get into business, it's gonna allot for them time? Okay, if you start a business, where's the time gonna come from? Don't you gotta build the business? No one knows the business exists. You have to take nothing and turn it into something. What does that require? It requires time. So why I don't understand why people think that when they start a business, a box truck business, they're gonna have more time on their hands. You're gonna have less time on your hands. You're gonna have even more less time on your hand if you a dog. If you somebody like me, you gonna put the business right after God. You're gonna pray and then you're gonna focus on business. Everything else gonna be second. Everything is second to me. Everything. And some people don't like it. I've seen messages from people that disagree with it. It is what it is. But that separates the wolves from the sheep. It's a dog eat dog world, and business is very cutthroat. And it takes a lot of time at the beginning. So you're gonna have less time. You're gonna have less time. So I disagree with Axel on that. I think this is a time where if you can shine in this, you'll shine in anything. When the market shifts, when we get back into a boom cycle, if you're surviving through this, whether that cycle be in 2025, late 2024, 2025, my forecast is 2025. If you can survive in this, you can survive through next year. When we do get back into a good space as far as the economy is concerned, you'll be in a great space. But then again, what happens if this becomes the new norm? You're still in a good space because you're putting that work ethic in that when other people are perishing, you're finding ways to make money. If that requires you working harder and decreasing your living expenses so that you can maintain a healthy business, excuse me, then so be it. That's what a good business person does. I used to say this all the time on my channel. I haven't said it recently. Being a business person, majority of your day is going to be solving problems. That's the biggest job any person that's in business is going to do. You become a problem solver. You have to be able to solve problems. If you're not a good problem solver, you will 100% fail in business. 100%. You have to figure out a way to become a good problem solver. You're going to be faced with problems all the time. And depending on how high you scale, the higher you scale, the more problems you're going to be faced with on a daily basis. And it's going to be up to you to solve those problems. A problem that people are having now is why I keep reiterating this is profitability, cash flow. Because people are robbing from the sustainability of their business because the cost of living is where it's at. And people don't want to or don't understand that they have to decrease somewhere or increase somewhere. Increase revenue, decrease living. The sacrifice got to come from somewhere. Where are you going to make that sacrifice? What's the best way to enter into the cargo van business? The same way I would say enter into the box truck business. Very low initial cost, have a business plan in place, study the industry, study the market, find a good person that you can consume information from, do your own research. Once again, lowest initial cost as possible. And I think that's a good way to enter. Uh what up though, Heavy Goodman? What up? I always appreciate the info in the beginning of this live. It's always best to make decisions based on numbers. Tenfold. Listen, man. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So, like I showed you at the beginning when I took myself in an example, this is how much it costs me to live. So I know I need to make at least that amount of money to live. But ultimately, obviously, you got to make more money than that. The numbers ain't gonna lie. My mortgage is what my mortgage is. These car notes and these insurances for these cars are what they are. These are fixed numbers. And I have to figure out ways to steady make more money. I got to keep making more money. My property taxes is steady going up. Where I live, my property taxes is going to continue to go up. These are fixed numbers. I got to keep myself warm in the winter. I got to keep myself cool in the summer. I got to cook. I got to keep warm. All this is gas. My dryer went out again. I got to have the Sears people come out. That's going to be $400. Every time they come out here to change the fuse on that dryer, it's $400. I'm probably finna just buy a new one. I just bought this stackable washer and dryer 4 years ago. Things happen. So I'm finna have to go spend another $2,000 on that. Things occur. I have to live. I have to eat. These are things that I gotta eat. Cost me $150 a week. I spend $150 a week on average in groceries. $150. $150. $150 on groceries. I spent $70 today on 7 to 8 items. $70. These are fixed numbers. So he's right. Fixed numbers. Numbers don't lie. So if the numbers are telling me, yo, Mark, this is what it costs you to live, I know how much money I got to bring in. And if I can't bring that money in, then guess what? Something got to go. Hey, Brian, man, I know, man. I'm sorry, but I can't pay you $150 a week no more to train me. I'm just going to have to do it on my own, man. I'm going to have to go trade in one of these cars. I'm going to have to go sell one. Now, I can't go on no dates. I can't go. I went on a date the other day, $250. And that was just dinner. $100, $50 to get there, because I took a black, $50 to get home. And the restaurant, like 7 to 8 minutes from the crib. I took a black. It was $50. Well, $100 to get there and back, $250 on dinner. So within the span of 2 hours on a date, $350. So guess what? If it comes to it, those numbers are real numbers. Some got to get cut. So what he's saying is right. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So if you look at the numbers, you can kind of gauge on what you need to do as far as increasing revenue or decreasing things. And not just decreasing things into your personal, the business as well too. I know you got some people that sleep in hotels, some people that sleep on the truck. Man, you might have to get a cooler and pack you lunch. You may have to stop at the grocery store and make you sandwiches. Like some of y'all act like y'all didn't grow up poor. Maybe everybody that's on YouTube that's running box truck business grew up rich. I don't know. Some of y'all got to go back into your po days. You might have to eat bologna sandwiches. You got to do whatever you got to do, whatever it is that you got to do so that, you can kind of balance things out where the business is making money and you're able to pay yourself enough to maintain a lifestyle, you're living, then that's what you got to do. So whether it's, decrease living and increase revenue, decrease, you got to do what you got to do. But when you look at the numbers are going to tell you what you need to do. I'm averaging $5,000 a week. It's costing me $4,000 to run a week. It only leaves $1,000, which I still have to pay taxes. So let me pay myself so that can become a taxable event, $350. Now I got 650 I need to pay, 33% of that to Uncle Sam, and then whatever's left is cash flow. So that $5,000 number and those $4,000 of expenses, those are real numbers that aren't lying to you. So now, boom, if I can only got $350 and I'm making $1,400 a month gross, which a lot of people, and I'm keeping it 1,000 with you, and I look at a lot of people's stuff, and I listen to a lot of people. I ask people questions. What's your numbers? A lot of people don't know their numbers, but the numbers they do, I make around. If you really paid yourself the real correct way, a lot of people, you're not making no money. A lot of people wouldn't even make $2,000 a month running a box truck business. If you're operating at $5,000 gross on average and you pay yourself the right way, a lot of people ain't even gonna make $2,000 a month. So would now be a bad time? No, don't listen to Axel, man. Axel gonna give you pessimistic advice. I'm not saying what he's saying is wrong, but he's not giving you the advice of a dog. I'm different. I'm gonna tell you yes and no. It all depends on who you are as an individual and how you enter. I'm doing my content lately, and I'm tapping into people's. I'm having to tap into people and get people to look more at their personal side as well as their business side. I'm gonna give you everything that you need to look at when you're starting a business. You know, it all depends. It may be a bad time. Overall, it's not the best of what I've seen in my tenure in the space, but it's still sustainable if you go about it the right way. It's a little bit difficult now entering, but here's the thing, and this is just reality, and this is life. As time goes on, nothing stays the same. Things become more expensive. Inflation is real. And I'm not talking about inflation due to the pandemic. Just take the pandemic out the equation. Things go up over the period of time anyway. It's going to be harder to enter any business than it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So it's all about how you enter. Um, and as long as you enter correctly, you plan properly, you do your business plan, you understand your market, your competitive analysis, you have a good mentor or a good coach. Um, your initial entry overhead is low as possible. You don't go out and buy a brand new truck or brand new van because you want a new truck or new van. That, to me, that's the stupidest thing a person could do. But yet and still people want to argue me that. People want to argue me that until they get in the business, and then ultimately it was a "I told you so" moment for me, because I understand the numbers. The numbers don't lie. I understand that the profit margin in this business is very low. It's minimal, it's small. I'm doing examples, realistic examples. These examples that I'm putting on this blackboard are not far from reality. These are average. This is what the average person is bringing in. That's working. I'm not making this up. I'm not pulling these examples out of my behind. You know? So when you enter, you have to enter with a plan. You got to understand that the margins are very low, so you have to make sure your initial cost entering is low. You got to make sure that you're maximizing the revenue as much as you can, and wherever you can cut, you can cut, especially at the beginning. Especially at the beginning. Uh oh no, he said it's bad. It's all good. Uh, I don't know. Axel is tripping, talking about the economy. Listen, it's people out here surviving in this economy. I sent Kirk a video earlier that I came across on YouTube. Basically, a trend been going on TikTok about People have been creating TikToks complaining about the economy and their rent is going up and this, that, and the third, and crying and talking about they don't want to go to work and crying and complaining. And I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel bad for nobody. And the reason why is because the reason why those people are complaining is because they don't want to work. If you go to work, listen, things are going up. So that means you have to increase your revenue. That's all that means. And if increasing your revenue requires you to work harder, then that's what you got to do. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way the reality. You want to put yourself in a situation where, you know, you give yourself a timeline, boom, especially if you're young. So if you're watching this and you're in your 20s, now is a great time for you to take things serious. I don't think the younger generation has the time that my generation had where we could figure things out in our 20s. I think the younger generation, if they need to figure it out in their 20s. I think if you're in your 20s and you take the time and you really figure things out while you don't have a lot of living expenses overhead, you're still living at home and you want to be an entrepreneur, now is a great time to do it. Because your living expenses aren't that much. You spend your 20s figuring out, by the time you get to your 30s, you really maximize, you push yourself, you excel your business. So the point that when you get to 40, you can divest, take a step back. You've made money, you've taken money that was coming in, you've invested into other avenues that are also bringing in revenue, so that now you can divest from this particular labor intensive workload, even if you're not on the physical or the truck, mentally, and focus on other things that are maybe automated or something like that are bringing in you revenue that's allowing you to have more time on your hand to do the things that you want to do. But you have to set a plan. And initially, at least for 10 years, you're going to have to work extremely hard. And 10 years will go by really, really fast. Trust me. It's 2023, on the way to be 2024. I started the summer of 2010. So 13 years, 14 summers. I just say 14 years. 13 years, 14 summers. All right? Those years went by really, really fast. When I look back at it, it's like, man, where did time go? A lot of the events that I think about in my tenure, some of them feel just like yesterday, and then some of them feel like so long ago. Point is, those 10 years go by really, really fast. Time goes by fast. The older you get, time just really goes. So I think if you put your head down and you really, really work for 10 years, and not only work, but effectively figure out ways to scale your business and figure out ways to bring in more revenue, and in return take that revenue, right, and invest that into other things that are bringing in more revenue. Every dollar is a soldier. I hate looking at money in the bank. It does no good for me in the bank. It's just sitting there. Sitting money in the bank is money that's waiting to be spent on dumb shit, right? So I'd rather invest my money into things that are going to create and bring in more money. Every dollar is a soldier that I send out to go recruit more soldiers. Every dollar goes out and it brings back more soldiers. And when those soldiers come in, I send them right back out. And I think if you come into your box truck business or your cargo van business with that mind frame and you work really, really hard, you scale your business, you grow your business, and when you get to that pinnacle of success and the business is profitable and you're bringing in revenue and you invest that money into other things, my businesses own other businesses. Yeah, you didn't know that. Like, your business can buy and acquire other businesses via stock. You don't necessarily have to buy the stock with your personal account. My businesses own stock in some of your favorite logistics companies. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I need a piece of that. I like to double dip. I like to double dip. So you just got to be smart on when the money does start coming in, how to redistribute that money and invest it into other avenues to make more money so that you can live a comfortable life. I mean, inflation ain't going nowhere. As time goes on, things are going to continue to get more expensive. And you just ultimately have to figure out ways to make more money. So, uh, let me see here. Mark, did you see the 200 plus cargo ships that can't pass through the Panama Canal because of the drought and water being too low? No, I haven't seen that. I haven't really been, haven't really been looking at nothing. I've been asleep, man, trying to get over this cold. But I'm gonna look into that. Axel finally agreed with me 100%. Bunch of social influencers with bad information. Yeah, I think a lot of social influencers are just that, social influencers. A lot of them. Okay, so I'm an influencer in this space. I think the difference for me and other influencers, not influencers in this space, but influencers as a whole, in no whatever space, is me being on YouTube in the space would deem me an influencer. But the difference I think is I have experience and years of experience, not 1, 2, 3, 4 years. You're talking about over 10 years, 14 to be exact. That's a long time. All right. So, and I think that's where a lot of people find value in my channel because I can speak from an experienced person with real experiences. I see a lot of other people talk that are in this space and they try to sound intelligent, they try to sound smart, but they get caught up. They say, and you could tell, they're trying to find the words because they're trying to sound like they know what they're talking about, but really they don't know. So they get caught up. They can't speak fluently about the industry that they're in. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the reason why that is because they just don't have enough tenure in the space. It takes time to really, I think, be able to educate people on a specific topic, and the people who do have tenure and expertise, because of their experience and their time, those are the people that ultimately stand out. And I think that's why my channel continues to grow exponentially, because I provide value. Now, you know, it's up to the consumer to read between the lines when they're listening to an influencer that's providing information on a specific industry that they're looking to get into and kind of navigate who's who and who's not. You know what I'm saying? So, it's unfortunate that there are people out here that are just professional influencers and they kind of follow Google Trends, and whatever's trending, they become an influencer for that particular industry, and they may not know that industry wholeheartedly or at all. And people are listening to the information that they're getting from other people, or they're getting from different articles where that information is not fact check, it's not based on facts, it's not based on real life experiences. And then ultimately people follow behind these influencers, and then they find themselves in the trick bag. So it's up to the consumer to really dive into people as they come across their channels and really, get a real good feel for the individual before they invest their time into consuming content from the person, so they don't find themselves uh, going down one of those paths of failures like so many did because they followed the wrong individual. So make sure y'all hit that like button, y'all. If you put in that hard work commitment to get the business done, it'll be successful and appreciated. Yeah, you got to put the work in. And I'm just keeping it funky. And, I peruse through the internet. I've been sick laying in bed. I've been perusing this weekend. And I see people, and, you know, um, you got to put the work in. I think, people aren't telling you the stuff that I tell you. I sit down and I tell you about numbers. I give you examples. I use myself. I've been using myself as an example lately so that y'all can kind of understand. Like this whole thing tonight, I would have never did this a year ago. I would have never told you what my more like. But I feel like now is the time for me to do that, so you can look at my example. So now you could take that formula, that format, write everything down. Okay, man, this is what it costs me to live. Because this is where the problem is essentially coming in at, that I think it's forcing a lot of people to rob from the sustainability of their business. And then look, see how much my business is making. And some of y'all, when y'all do that, y'all gonna realize it's costing you more to live than what you're bringing in. So you gotta look at those numbers and you gotta figure some things out. You know, so you gotta put that work in. Surviving after already being in the industry is different from the new people coming into the storm. Listen, Axel, when I came into the industry, the moving industry, I came in the housing market correction. Granted, it was a different time. No, not a housing market correction, a housing market crash. That worked in my favor, unbeknownst to me at the time. It worked in my favor. Unfortunately, people were losing their homes, and because I was in the right place or entered into the right industry at the right time, other people's downfalls was my windfall. I was able to capitalize on the fact that people were losing their homes. It sounds crummy, it sounds shitty, but this is business. We're going to speak from a capitalist perspective here. It sounds crummy and it sounds shitty, but I was able to take people's downfalls and turn them into my windfalls. There was an overabundantly volume of moves going on at that time because people were losing their homes. Storage companies and moving companies won during the housing market crash. It's an unfortunate situation, but unbeknownst to me at that time, I didn't enter into the moving because of that. It was unbeknownst to me. It just so happened that I did. I was in the right place at the right time, made the right idea to post that right ad on Craigslist at that time. And then later on, within a year, I realized what was going on. and I once I realized that, I took it to the next step. I think coming into any business right now is going to be tough. But unfortunately, Axel, when you become a business owner, you're taking a risk. And with that risk, you're 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 willing to do whatever it takes to make that business successful. If you're coming into the business, and I talk to a lot of business, and when I talk to people, I just like, yo, in my head, you're not going to make it because you're lazy. If you're not willing to go above and beyond to make sure your business is a success, then man, go get a job. And there's nothing wrong with getting a job. Nothing wrong with it. We need people to work jobs. It's just that the people that survive, and there's a reason. Let's talk about numbers. There's a reason why the failure rate for business in general is a large number. Most businesses fail within their first year. Period. Why is this number so high? Did you ever think about that? It don't have to be the box truck business. All businesses combined. The failure rate for people entering into business the first year is very high. And if you don't believe me, think about how many people entered the box truck business in 2022 that didn't even make it to 2023. Think about how many people that entered in 2021 that exited in 2022. It's difficult. It costs more money to get in to any business now. Um, People don't have the same work ethic that they used to have. People want things handed to them. They're not willing to go out and really grind and put their head down and grind to get it. It is what it is. Look at me. This YouTube is a business. I could make a lot more money if I wanted to on this, right? I've been operating this at a loss, which is fine. I don't do mentorships. I got enough content and provided enough value that if I did decide to do a mentorship and I put a price tag on it of $15,000, there's no doubt in my mind people wouldn't buy it. Some people will come up with the money to buy it, right? I can increase my revenue. I don't choose to do it because I don't do mentorships. I have no desire to do it. But at the end of the day, I know it costs me money to do this, right? I want to help people. It costs me money. I'm sick and I'm on here talking to you. My voice is starting to seize up. I'm drinking orange juice. I'm probably finna be getting off in a minute. But I know it's a certain amount of content that I have to put out on a weekly basis in order for this business to sustain somewhat. So me being sick, being up here, not only the fact that I want to help people, but spending time with people on a Sunday night while I'm sick lets you know that anything that I invest, and the reason why I'm on here now is not to put the content out because I got a quota. It's because I wanted to put this out a few days ago and I don't want to keep waiting. So I want to get it out. So I'm willing to sacrifice my voice and how I feel right now to get this out because it's been on my mind to talk about. I could be laying in my bed right now. I'm finna go lay in my bed and watch Django. I want to watch Django once I get off here. What he doing up on that nag? Boss, why is he up on that nag? I want to go watch Samuel L. Jackson. Coon. That's funny to me. So I'm finna go watch that. But I could be already laying in the bed watching it. What you doing up on that nag? I want to go watch the Django. But I'm willing to sacrifice my voice to get this point across tonight. You know, I'm a hard worker just in general. So if I in box trucking, if I'm in junk removal, if I'm a real estate investor, if I'm on laundry mats, if I'm a YouTuber, whatever I do, I want to make sure and ensure it's successful. And in order to do that, I have to spend time with it, regardless on what's going on in my personal life and how I feel. So my YouTube channel, in order to continue, in order to ensure continued success, I have to put the time in, regardless of how I feel. So if that takes me and requires me to get up here and talk for 2 hours while I'm sick, then so be it. But guess what? I put myself in a position that I don't have to answer to nobody. I ain't got to get up tomorrow morning. I could sleep all day if I want to. And while I'm sleeping, money is still coming in. So I can overexert myself now and go lay down and rest without having to set an alarm clock. And ultimately, that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. You have to make those sacrifices early on so that later on you can set up an exit strategy and exit plan. And you put other things in place so that you can spend more time and do the things that you want to do or don't want to do, all while you're still making money. You can come into this business right now and be a success. You're just gonna have to work harder. I worked hard in 2010. If I were to come into this business now, I would have to work harder than I worked in 2010. And in 2010, I worked hard for a 30-year-old. At 43-year-old, I'm gonna work harder, and it's gonna be harder on me because I'm older and my body is not gonna be able to withstand a lot of that shock that a 30-year-old body would withstand in the industry that I'm in, which is a lot of heavy lifting, moving. So not only would I have to work harder because the industry is different, things are different, people are different. The age is gonna weigh in too. So you know, I really, you know, I I think a person could come in if they have a real strong mindset and they follow the instructions that I give over and over again. I think ultimately they're not gonna go from 0 to 100, but they should be able to build a successful, sustainable business. They might not be making hand over fit where they can go out and buy a Bentley, but if they do the right things, they should be able to be sustainable and continue to grow that business, increase revenue, and to ultimately later on be a success story. But it's not going to happen overnight. What do you think about starting with a driver? I think that's probably the way things are going now. It probably won't be profitable for you unless you come in with very, very low initial costs. I gave an example earlier of Final Mile being on the truck, and the costs are expensive. So if you take yourself off the truck and this is your only truck, and this is your source of income, your source of revenue, you're not going to make enough money with that truck having a driver and a helper on it, with all the fixed and variable costs and paying those people. And then what's left, it's not going to be enough money left to pay you as an owner operator to sustain even a basic living. It's just not enough money with one truck. And that's what a lot of, I think, influencers weren't telling people initially. Everybody that became influencers were fair weather influencers that came in during the pandemic when we were in an inflated market. Those numbers weren't real. They were real for the time, but they not weren't real as far as normal. We're in the realm of normalcy now. This is normal. This is normalcy. This is what normalcy looks like, right? It was cool to tell people to get into the space when rates were $10 a mile, and you was buying in at an inflated cost, but you didn't realize it because the rates were high. But guess what? The rates normalized. The cost still is high. So honestly, a person who would come into this space, I don't care if you came in middle mile or you came in final mile. If that truck is your sole source of income, once you pay that driver, there's not going to be enough money for you to sustain. I don't care if you stay in a tenement. I don't care if you stay in a shelter. It's not going to be enough money. You averaging 5,000 a week and you paying the driver and the helper, plus all the other costs. You might make a few $100, maybe. Now you times that times 4, you may make $1,000 a month. Where you gonna get a helper or a driver to pay crumbs? Ain't nobody working for crumbs. You pay somebody crumbs, let's see how long they stick around. They ain't gonna stick around too long because somebody like Mark gonna come around and pay them good. And guess what? They're gonna leave you. They're gonna leave you. And then you're gonna have a truck that's sitting. So you realize, well, man, I gotta pay more. And then guess what? You pay more. Guess what? That's decreasing. It's decreasing what you could able to pay yourself. I think if you're gonna enter into this business, I think the best way to do it is to do it yourself. Drive the truck. If you're in middle mile, you need to drive that truck. Because even with you driving the truck, this is what you're averaging if you're working hard right now. Average person is making about five, and that's a person running hard. Like I said, a person running hard. The average that I've been coming across lately is really grossing about 3,000, and that's no cap. I've been talking to people, they grossing 3,000, 3,000, 3,500. You run really hard right now, you should make about $5,000. Once you add in your rental, if you're renting, fuel, insurance, miscellaneous, you may have $1,000 that you gotta divide between you, Uncle Sam, and whoever else. Now, there's people that I talk to that own their truck, that $1,000 a month week rental on average is somewhere between $1,000 to $1,800 a month. So now that's increasing their weekly stipend, so they can pay themselves more because they entered a little bit correctly. Now, depending on the truck you buy, is also going to determine, how much money, you could pay yourself as well. The lower the truck note for the month, the higher you could pay yourself because there's more money left. So imagine the prices for a family of four. I think about it all the time. I think about it all the time. For those who were here early, just me, it cost me $10,000 to $11,000 a month for me to live. So now I throw a wife in there, I throw 2 snotty nosed kids in there. I could probably times that times 2. And I know my lifestyle is is probably on the higher end than what most people are living. I understand that, but I worked hard to be able to afford to live the way I live. But that doesn't negate the fact that I still have to have that revenue coming in to be able to for me to pay $10,000 to $11,000 a month on the basic necessities. I still gotta have that money coming in, So you're right. Cooking Beats, appreciate you. Kelvin, I still making sandwiches when I go to work, and I saved a lot of money from fast food. That's what's up. Shout out to the super chat from Simon. A microphone. Oh no, he put a microphone. Okay, I see. Let me see. Okay, he put a microphone emoji up. I got it. I've been strictly expedite carrier for you. Listen to Axel. I know the van industry. Hey Axel, I ain't finna go back and forth with you, babe. I ain't finna go back and forth with you. I got a coworker who just left the job. Axel want to come in here and pick on me when I'm sick. I just got a coworker who just left the job and basically maxed out his 401k for a Mercedes Cargo. Yeah, I don't. Who just left the job and basically maxed out his 401k for a Mercedes. Yeah, you leave a job, you max out your 401k to go get a cargo van to run expedite. I don't think that was smart. Um, Praying that you feel better. Appreciate that. So, do you think 445 a month financing a 16-foot box truck, insurance 800 a month? I want to start moving and gig working to 445 a month. I mean, that's affordable. $800 a month. It's affordable. You're looking at about 1200, 1250 a month on average. 16-foot box truck is there's opportunities out there, but obviously, you really gonna have to work that 16-footer. You could start with doing gig work, but that gig work is not certain, depending on what market you're in. And even with that gig work now, excuse me, in comparison to when I started, there's more competition. We're in a society where everybody wants to do everything on their own. Everybody wants to work for themselves, so the competition is fierce. So if you do go that route, you're gonna have to make sure you have a strong marketing plan, um, a good pricing structure to compete. Um, you're going to have to source good talent. You're probably going to have to run 7 days a week. Um, there's opportunities for you to run that 16-foot box truck with a company, but I think ultimately to see success, you're probably going to have to work 7 days a week, 6 to 7. Me, I work in 7. I would find a real good dedicated contract for a 16-foot box truck. See if you can make anywhere from $300 to $500 a day. Or if you start moving, you can do anywhere up to 1 bedrooms. If you can knock out 3 of those a day, on a minimum, you'll make $900 a day. On the minimum, and that's if you're working and you follow my blueprint. So it's possible. $1,250 ain't no lot of money. I know, it's gonna take some work, but it can definitely be done. It can definitely be done. 445 ain't bad. I never paid. Yeah, I did. No, I didn't. I bought all my 16-foot trucks cash. So this was years ago, though. I put it like this: if I had run across Mark, I'll put like this: if I had run across Mark before I entered, I would not have entered the way I did. Damn. Shout out to all the MGMs. Old school Ohio's a MGM. So shout out to all my MGMs. I appreciate you. We got something coming up for y'all too that I'm working on. So stay tuned. What up, Mark? What are your thoughts on the economy if these winter COVID predictions are correct? It talks of potential lockdowns again. God forbid. Don't want to see people getting sick again. I don't believe they're gonna lock the economy down. I think that's over and done with. I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of y'all might not like it. if they do lock things down, one thing that's going to happen when the lockdowns first come is all the rates are going to tank. All the stocks are going to tank, crypto is going to tank, everything's going to go down. That's what's going to happen. Initially, everything is going to go back up. So, if they were to lock things down, that would be a time where people who have cash on hand need to start stocking up. So, for me, being a smart investor, if they lock things down and they talk about locking things down and we go that way, I'm gonna be prepared. I'm just gonna start buying shit because that first day everything gonna tank, and I'm gonna go shopping. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think so. We went through lockdowns. We seen what it does. I don't think the current administration really understands how to deal with the economy the way it is, let alone locking it down. So I don't see it. I don't see it. Uh yep, so all right, y'all. I think I've been on for 2 hours and 49 minutes. Make sure y'all hit that like button on the way out. I didn't get to 100 likes, but I'm pretty sure I will be over 100 likes by the time I wake up in the morning. I wanted to come on tonight and just give you guys some things that have been on my mind. Hopefully, somebody receives some value from it. Just take your business serious. Um, Make sure you sacrifice. I don't want people to be box truckers. I don't want to have to keep calling people out. I don't want to have to keep hitting the tweaking button. I don't want to have to keep doing that. I don't want people to be hustlers or box truckers. You got to be businessman. If you're not, I'm gonna call you out. I'm gonna hold you accountable. I'm gonna put you in a circle. I'm giving you all the information, what it takes to be a successful business owner from a person who has experience and tenure of being a successful business person, right? I don't find this nowhere else. I don't see it nowhere else. Not only do I give you information and content on how to run your box truck business successfully, I give you everything around that. There's a lot of other variables that go into place on the success of your business, and I try to touch on all of it, you know. And I think if you listen to what I'm telling you, I think you'll ultimately be success. But it starts with sacrifice. Look at those numbers. And parting, look at those numbers. Go through your numbers on your living. See how much it costs you to live. Look at your last 3 months and see what it costs on average. Look to see what you're bringing in a month. More than likely, a lot of y'all are living at the time probably above your means. So the sacrifice got to come in somewhere. Some people may have to move back in. If you want your box truck business to be successful, if you're a bachelor, you're single, no kids, no wife, hey, it may be smart to move back home for a year. Stack that money. If you're a person who already has a family that left corporate America or started a business with already an exorbitant cost of living because you had a history of making money elsewhere or something, sacrifice is gonna have to come. You're gonna have to cut somewhere because you're not gonna make that. You may not be able to make that type of money off the bat. One truck is not gonna take you guys to success. I just showed that one truck with me, knowing what I know, I wouldn't be able to live the way I live. If I were to enter the box truck space now, the way you guys would enter via the rental or purchasing a truck, my current cost of living with what I would probably be maxing out at gross in final mile, I would have to decrease my cost of living. And I'm telling you, me, if I were coming in right now, knowing what I know, so you got to take heed to that. You got to take heed to that. I'm being honest. I'm being truthful with you. And you ain't going to get it nowhere else. So I appreciate everybody. Make sure y'all hit that like button on the way out. I got a super chat. Shout out to Simon. Let me read this real quick before I get out of here. I live in Seattle, Washington. I just bought a 26 footer truck, paying $2,500 a month plus $1,000 insurance, but now jobs are slow to come by. What should I do? Damn, Simon. $2,500 a month is a lot of money, man, for a box truck. That's a lot of money. Um, hmm. What lane do you run? What lane do you run, Simon? Let me answer you. Let me get you good real quick before I get out of here, since you did a super chat. What lane do you run? I mean, if you want to come up, I'll drop the link real quick too. You can either answer in the chat or you can pop up real quick. Either or. Oh man. Shout out to Dun Beasy. Shout out to all the MGMs in the building. Excuse me. Shout out to all the MGMs in the building. Make sure I hit that like button. Put me some more orange juice. I'm gonna get Simon about another minute. I really want to answer that super chat. I just do furniture moving with it. You're in Seattle, so I'm not sure how moving is in Seattle, but if you're paying $2,500 a month for your truck and you're paying $1,000, that's $3,500. I think you need to focus on a marketing strategy for your moving. If that's what you're doing, um, if you're doing that, you need to fully license and start your moving company, and you need to work on your marketing strategy. $3,500 if you're moving isn't a lot of. That's nothing. If you were running like middle mile or final mile, then maybe you got a 26 footer. You can do a move from Portland to Chicago for 10 grand, or from Seattle to Chicago for 10 grand. You can go from Seattle to wherever. You got Amazon out there. So you got corporate people relocating to work from corporate Amazon, moving away, losing their job, moving back to where they coming from. People relocating from other places to move there. See, this is how I think. I think like a businessman. You got to use what's around you. You're in Seattle. That's the Amazon headquarters. I'm pretty sure. I don't know the exact number, but I know that Seattle is Amazon's corporate headquarters. I would try to come up with a marketing plan based around their campus. I would want to get all the people who are relocating in and out of that corporate facility, that campus. I would try to figure out a way to market to those people. First thing I would do. Second thing I would do, I would focus on long distance moves. Seattle is a tech town because of Amazon and some other companies out there. I would come up with a creative marketing strategy tailored towards techies moving in and out of that city for job opportunities. I think Seattle, because of it's a tech town and you got some really big corporations that are there, like Amazon, I think your truck should be on the road just doing corporate moves every week, in and out. So I think you're looking at it the wrong way. I think you're in a great town for long distance moves. And that's what I would zero in on. And then I would cycle in local moves, in between. But you're in a tech city with a really big tech company with a really huge campus. They have a huge campus. And there's people moving in and out to work there all the time. And that's what I would focus on. So if that doesn't work, you don't want to do moving, I think you should probably hit the road. Like somebody said, if you don't want to do, or if you're not doing big and bulky final mile, you can gross about 5,000 a week, depending on your market. That's about 20,000 a month. So if you work really hard with that, and you're on the truck, I think you can do well. Other than that, you're gonna have to hit the road. You're gonna have to hit the road. $2,500 a month. I'm assuming you got a new or a very new truck. If you have a newer or a new truck, so you're gonna have to work it. But if I were you in that situation, I would start a moving company and I would focus on long distance moves tailored around Amazon. Honestly, that's a very great insight about the Amazon. Yeah, you got a huge campus. Amazon headquarters is in Seattle. And there's corporate people that are getting hired that are relocating to Seattle for job opportunities. There are people that are leaving Amazon, whether they're leaving for other opportunities or being fired, and they're leaving that campus and they have to move cross country to go where the need other opportunities or go back home. But they're constantly hiring, and a lot of the people that they source for talent aren't in that local area, and that's what I will focus on. And if you can get in to the point where your licensed company, you're a company that they, if they, let's say they hire somebody from, let's say, New York to relocate there for an opportunity, and they give them a corporate stipend to move, and then they say, you know what, we recommend this list of companies. If you can get on that list, which is going to be hard to do because the companies that are usually on those lists are Mayflower, Wheaton, Atlas, those big companies, more unionized companies. But Amazon is kind of against the union, against unionization. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm about to get out of here soon. But if you can find a way to market yourself directly to people on that campus for moving, I think you'll do fine. I think your truck will stay on the road based around moving, relocating people to and from Seattle, centered around Amazon. I would look into that. All right. Oh, you got a brand new Isuzu. I figured it was a brand new truck. What was it? You said it's a 26 footer, right? Yep, 26 footer Isuzu. Yeah, man. You gonna have to work that truck, man. Thanks so much. Never thought about the Amazon network. Yeah, man. Use that network, man. That's what I'm here for, man. That's what I'm here for, man. To give as much value as possible. And I don't think if I wouldn't have been in business for as long as I've been in business, I wouldn't have been able to answer that question as quickly as I answered it, knowing that that's Seattle, looking at where you're from, knowing that that's the corporate headquarters for Seattle, and then building a marketing strategy based on that. That comes from being in business and being a business person for years. So I'm glad you found some value in that. I hope that works out for you guys. I gotta go. My voice is out of here. Wanted to jump on and talk to y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like button, Simon. Appreciate that super chat. I gotta make sure them coins dropping. Look into that Amazon plug. Let me know how it goes. Um, until then, guys, appreciate y'all. I'm out. Oh, wrong button. All right. We ain't gonna do no outro today. Then I'm just gonna be out. I'm sick. I'm out. No outro. I'm out.